Big Sandwich on the beats. J Squad. Big Sandwich on the beats. J Squad. Big sandwich on the beats.
Mike. All right, people. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but it's up. It's running. Welcome to the Justice League Roundtable. With us, the Nerd Council, and of course, the lovely Stephanie from NNESAGA up top. Guys, say hi.
Hey everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. My PC just didn't want to actually, run this roundtable. So we're just going to stream everything live on the Nerd Council. So be sure to subscribe to the Nerd Council page.
Drop a tweet, maybe just in case, because there might be some people.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop a tweet now.
But it's cool. All right, but yeah, guys.
Get things pushing out and all that.
Yeah. Well, so do you know what? We're not gonna dilly-dally too much on us as a team talking. We're gonna go straight into the intro, introduce your guests, and get talking about Justice League because we've been wasting like 20 minutes already. So let's get going to our guests. So first off, we'll go in order as what we see on the screen. So Juwan, do you want to go first? Introduce yourself, please.
Juwan from Geek Vibes Nation. Thank you guys for having me on here. I think you asked me before my favorite DC movie. It's definitely still going to be Man of Steel. It's just the heart of that movie, that one scene where his dad puts his son's future ahead of his own life. It's beautiful. It's poetic. But huge DC fan, raised a Batman fan. Didn't really care about anybody else till maybe I was like in my teens. But yeah, definitely excited to talk the Snyder Cut.
Awesome. Comic Chic.
Everyone, my favorite DC movie, probably Aquaman. I can't lie. Yeah, Aquaman's my favorite. Kind of irritated me how it came out after Justice League. It was just weird, but that's my favorite DC movie, I think, so far. And that's pretty much it. In terms of me and DC, I think I loved the animated stuff. Not really much of a fan of the movies. The comics are good, but when it comes to like TV stuff, it's just the animated stuff for me. Yeah, more of a Marvel fan in general, to be honest.
And can you say us a little bit about your platform and what you do?
So Comic Chick is kind of like a space to bridge non-comic readers with comic readers, or people who just generally aren't fans,
Right.
or as enthusiastic about comics and like the MCU and like the DCEU, with people who know loads about it, because I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping in our community. So it's just a space where people who don't know much can link with people who know loads.
Awesome. Jamie, introduce yourself and tell us your favorite DC movie. Nope, that's not Jamie. That is Joey. Got you wrong on the camera. 1 second.
Come on, man.
I got you guys mixed up. It's fine. I got it mixed up. Right. So that is not Joey. That is Jamie. Sorry, Jamie. Please introduce yourself and tell us your favorite DC movie while I sort this out on my end.
Hey, I'm Jamie. My favorite DC movie. Honestly, I really had a lot of fun watching Aquaman. Of like the new age DC movies, though, I feel like the first Wonder Woman would probably be my favorite. Just because I've never really had that kind of experience, like watching Wonder Woman like that. So that was like completely new and awesome for me. And as far as what I do on the internet, I stream, I make YouTube videos about just talking about the MCU and the DCEU, and play games and stuff. And yeah, I just like to have fun and nerd out with people. So
Sweet. Agents of Smash, you're up.
Agents of Screen.
Agents of Screen. Why have I got Agents of Smash stuck in my head? That's a TV show. It's a TV show, innit? That's why. Sorry, my bad. Agents of Screen, go.
Yeah, my name is Miles. I have a YouTube channel called Agents of Screen where I do like movie reviews, anime reviews, TV reviews. I grew up first and foremost a DC fan with like the graphic novels, the comics, etc. But I kind of transitioned more into the Marvels when they were in the movies. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
I said unstable, but yeah, with the movies. But in terms of favorite DC film, I think so far, probably The Dark Knight Rises. Of the new ones, I would probably say the Snyder Cut.
Good choice. Good choice. Ash, you're up.
Hey, I'm Ash. I teach, and on the internet, I just tweet a lot about football and comics. I have been a DC fan since I was a kid. I grew up a lot on like the animated movies, the animated cartoons. And my favorite DC movie of old is The Dark Knight. Like that has just been the one I go back to always. But now it's actually the Snyder Cut. I've watched it so many times that it's just overtaken the Dark Knight there. So yeah.
Awesome. Is it it's Shakina, right?
Shekinah.
Shekinah. Sorry,
Okay.
Shekinah.
You look like
Sorry, Shekinah.
It's fine. Yes, my name's Shekinah. I think I've always kind of been a DC fan, but I started to like read more Marvel comics when Marvel started doing all their movies and stuff. My favorite DC movie is probably, well, old one, probably Dark Knight, and then now it's Snyder Cut. So, yeah.
Perfect. And last but certainly not least, the infamous Joey, who whose
What
name
are
I've
you
got
going to say? Who what?
I've got your name wrong on
lost?
on the thing. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second, guys. I need to. Joey, introduce yourself. Go.
Joey, favorite movie still remains Man of Steel.
Still to this day.
Yeah, I rewatched it just on Tuesday. Yeah, it's still there.
All right. Perfect. Cool. All right. Ludo, kick us off with our first question.
Yeah, I'll quick us off. Let's get us going. Started with the Syndicate. Sorry.
Yo.
Okay, let's go. Do you feel as if this movie is a completely different movie to Justice League, and is it better than what Joss Whedon gave us? Who wants to go first?
It is absolutely a better movie than what Joss released in 2017. I think the plot is still the same, like where they're they're trying to like stop the mother boxes like from uniting and everything. But I think the way that they go about it is the way that Zach goes about it is completely different. Like he doesn't make like Steppenwolf like devoted to the mother boxes. Like he's doing this because he wants to get back to Darkseid, and we didn't get any of that in Justice League. So like I think it's definitely better. And yeah.
Is that what we're calling now? Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justice League. I'll take that.
I like that name, Justice League. Yeah.
It's definitely a completely different movie. I mean, like you just said, I mean, just seeing Darkseid alone makes it different and better. And the motivation is just better. And I know it probably sounds like really dumb, but how Steppenwolf looks made the movie and the experience so much better.
Absolutely.
The theatrical cut.
Definitely.
Just kind of like, he's like a whole suit of armor that can kind of like, come on and off whenever he wants.
Yeah.
It just made the experience better. But yeah, I mean, just dialogue and to me, the plot wasn't, I wouldn't even say it was the same because just a few things made it different. Again, Darkseid made it seem as though you were building to something rather than it just being only the mother boxes are what he's looking for. So yeah, it's definitely different and better with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot more polished as well. And things that weren't complete, you can see now that it's been complete. So for example, we actually got a complete Cyborg arc. We got more of a completed Flash arc. A lot more things were a lot more fleshed out. And I feel like if it just had the nurture and the love and the homework that needed it to be for this movie, then, it could have been what it was. But again, when you don't have the right team behind such a great franchise like the DC is, because if we're going to be honest here, DC in itself don't have issues in terms of like who has the rights like Marvel did. And they were free, you understand? And it's one of those ones where you just need to have the right team, the right motivation, the people that actually know the backstories of these characters and how they can actually expand it to actually make a good movie, because that's literally what it is. Because if you don't have the right people in the higher ups, who's actually going to fight for a great movie like the Snyder Cut? And ultimately, it was the fans. I believe it all started from a tweet releasing the Snyder Cut or something, and because the fans knew, and everyone knows how good and how dedicated and how passionate Snyder is anyways. And I'm sure when he was seeing that bullshit that Josh was displaying how many years ago, he was eager himself. But again, we'll get into the politics of Warner Bros, Josh, and that type of stuff later. But I really feel like this was more of a complete, polished and fleshed out version. So yeah.
I'd also say the motivation for this movie is much different to the first Justice League, where with the first one it seems like Steppenwolf is motivation just to cultivate Earth with the mother books. But in this movie, you can see he really wants to get back into Darkseid's good books, and he's doing all he can, and even shows that he must know something so bad for him to have a depth of 50,000 worlds, which is crazy to have. He has to conquer 50,000 worlds to be back on Darkseid's good books. So that motivation shows how devout people are to Darkseid, and how much Darkseid, obviously in Zack's eyes, was the big bad going forward in the DCEU, and how much people in his camp will do just to get back on his good books as well.
Even if you look at just visually from a visual sort of angle, it's a lot better. He changed the aspect ratio, so obviously that makes it a completely different movie, like from a visual standpoint. And I think even just like the colors he used, like the color grading and that was a lot better. I mean, Twitter's already doing this thing. I've seen people like posting like frames and screenshots, and you can really see it. It just looks so much better than what we got from the original cut.
Joey, what's your take on all this in regards to the Snyder Cut being better than the original?
Just similar to what everyone's saying, you can see it's a different movie, and it's really goes to show what you can get when you show faith in the person that wants to put forth their creative ideas.
Okay.
Yeah. Just lastly, I'll add that, like everyone said, I think in every aspect it's a better movie, and you can really tell that he knows the lure of the characters. He's really trying to pay respect to their backstory, and he knows it. It really looks like he knows and he cares, and it's just a success all around for not only Zack but us creators to allow your vision to be actualized. You know,
that's you made a key. Well, use the key word there, which I think is important. It's when it's he cares. Because I get this freedom from WB that for them, and I say this a lot, for them, the DC movies are about making money. They don't see the wider picture of creating this shared universe, longevity, fan service. It's for them, it's just about making money, which in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. But when you've got a property like this, and again, when you're comparing it to things like the MCU, which people are going to do anyway, you can see the level of care Marvel has for its characters compared to DC, and like Steph said, DC and Warner Brothers aren't struggling with rights of characters. They have the free reign to, in a sense, to do as they please in a sense, but also to create the stories and to create the movies that are going to last the testament of time. And up to this point, they've failed to do that several times. And again, no one's really saying that they have to create a massive shared universe like Marvel have done. No one is saying that at all. They can go about and do their own thing and create amazing movies about these DC characters, but they're not doing that because there's a lack of care, and because the people at the top don't really care about these characters and don't really care about DC as a whole. But I'll get into more of that later, because there's certain things I do want to cover in terms of like the higher ups of Warner Brothers. Please, Warner Brothers, don't come at me. I still love you guys in a sense, but you effed up with DC. I can't lie, you effed up with DC. Anyway.
But you see, Timmy, what you've said.
Yeah.
Everything you said, even though it is on them, it's also on the critics and the fans too. Because you say they shouldn't have looked at Marvel.
No. I never said that they can't look at Marvel. You shouldn't.
They don't have to do the same thing.
They don't have to do the same with Marvel. They don't, and they weren't. They weren't.
But if they did something else, then there would be a lot.
Everyone says
no. But see, the thing is, Ryan. The thing is, if they did something else, right? But if they did something else that was quality, there wouldn't be an issue. The issue is they've done the same as Marvel, and it hasn't been quality.
I disagree.
To be fair, to be fair though, if BVS is a better movie, we're not here right now, discussing a Snyder Cut versus a Whedon cut. Yeah. That is what derailed. Like, all right, I always say doing Man of Steel and then going into a team up movie was not a bad recipe.
No,
the bad
it wasn't.
recipe was your team up movie wasn't good. But
Warner
Brothers, what they failed to realize is Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are walking dollar bills. You don't have to market it to make money. It just already makes money. Yeah. It's why you've had 50 Superman movies, 90 Batman movies, because they're just walking bank accounts. So if you just made that movie a little bit better,
let me go next.
We're not in the situation we're in now.
All right, so I disagree with that purely off the fact that from Man of Steel, people have been saying, what are they doing? Man of Steel, people have, since Man of Steel, people are like, this movie isn't fun.
I don't
That's
agree
the
with
big.
that.
That's
I don't agree with that.
that's
Mm,
listen.
That's
Joey's
no,
point.
that's
Wait,
They
disagree
keep
because
let-
Zach doesn't understand. They said that he doesn't understand that Superman's meant to be the guy who doesn't kill. He always finds a way. He's meant to be the Boy Scout.
but see
but
that
that shows to everyone's level of reading, because I'm sure
Exactly.
for pretty much most characters they have different kind of profiles
Of course.
throughout the decades, throughout different runs of comics. So you can find, I'm not a comic guy, you could probably find a comic book that reflects Zach's work there.
Yeah.
Or even so, let's go. So since Man of Steel, people have used the key words which were fun, colorful, and funny. So those are the three words people
have
usually.
they?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're comparing it to the MCU and what the MCU have.
Yeah.
You're making a great
Every
point.
step of the way.
You're making a great point, but the biggest thing about what you're saying is they did say that about Man of Steel. That's not the issue though. The issue was BVS was kind of broken down from critics as not a good movie, not a step in the right direction. It was destroyed. Man of Steel was just talking. It could have visually been better, more appealing, but they didn't destroy it. I mean, they took pitchforks to be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I still think you would have had that pushback saying, nah, we're still in the Marvel MCU Renaissance. We still want people. A lot of fans still said we want more movies like this.
Joey, one second.
Ash wanted to say something.
I want to go Ash, then Comic Chick, and then Shekinah, please.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had more issues with BVS than they did with Man of Steel. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact we had Marvel, and Marvel, like, to be quite frank, like, they helped set the blueprint for like what they wanted comic book movies to look like. And because of that was what people were used to seeing, and that's what they wanted. DC is completely different from Marvel in the way that they handle their superheroes. They don't like really treat their superheroes in the way that Marvel does, and that's no disrespect to them. I feel as if DC takes their superheroes a lot more seriously. If we want to like look at the animated movies, like if you put the animated movies live actions, like it would be crazy. And that, I feel like that was what the biggest issue with BVS is. And then the studios, they looked at that and they decided, no, we can't make this Justice League the way that Zack wants it to be made. We need to make it more like the way that Marvel is doing it, because that's what people are used to. And at the end of the day, it flopped. And so like that's like where I think like where they came from as to why Justice League came out the way it did in 2017.
I say that I feel as though Marvel understood their audience. So from the release of Iron Man, they just knew that they were working with loads of people who didn't necessarily read comics, but were happy to kind of enter this new universe with us and kind of grow with that whole thing. Whereas with the DCEU, a lot of people kind of joined it expecting that same kind of family-friendly, et cetera, that you get from Marvel, because a lot of them are not actual comic fans. Because we forget that when you open it up to cinema, it's everyone watching now, whether they've read a comic or never have in their life. So I think that's the issue that DC were having, where they just didn't quite understand the audience. But then on the flip side of that, I feel like we accepted what BVS was. We accepted what it was, what Man of Steel was. And so the whole thing about it being more colorful and whatnot, we kind of got to a point of acceptance. So when Justice League came out, it was irritating to see a kind of step backwards away from that, because we became comfortable with the whole kind of dreary, dark kind of imagery that was being created. So now we'd had a few movies that looked like that, and suddenly they were trying to flip the script, and it felt awkward. So I think that's what the actual issue is. It's not that, okay, people wanted this colorful thing. It's that, okay, we wanted that, we didn't get that, we became comfortable with what we were given, and then they tried to take it away. So I think that's what the issue with Justice League actually is.
Shekinah?
I'm just going to try and piggyback with what everyone else said, because it's pretty much the same thing. I think everyone was kind of used to the whole Marvel colorful, playful, and then DC coming in with like a dark kind of feel, kind of threw everyone off a little bit, I think. But I think everyone had the expectation of wanting it to be like Marvel, so it didn't reach. I think basically for some reason, because of how Marvel's done everything, they're now the industry standard, which isn't fair because we know that previously DC was the standard. They came out first, did everything first, but now because Marvel's what everyone else is watching, everyone feels like they have to match up to that. So I feel like DC didn't really understand their audience, and I think that's where they sort of like misstepped and everything went wrong.
I think quickly before we go on to the next question and stuff, I do get it because again, MCU is always meant to be, well, Marvel in general is always meant to be the light-hearted universe compared to DC. And then going off to what you guys said in regards to this is what people are expecting, I think it is down to, I guess, the audience, because so I understand that obviously the majority of the audience, you know, don't read comics and stuff like that, but you know, they may have like dabbled into the animated series or, you know, the one-off like comic book movie and stuff like that that's, you know, cartoonized and everything. But essentially it's generally down to having the right teams, because going off to what you said about when it started with Iron Man, even then Marvel still made mistakes, you understand, but they knew, again, they knew their audience and they knew what they were building to potentially be, if not that standard. With DC, there isn't a structure or a plan, because me personally, I know a lot of people, I honestly prefer, I wouldn't want DC to be happy-go-lucky, rainbow. That's not the universe. I know, because that's not where it is. DC is naturally dark. So, but it's the way you have to kind of level it so it's marketable. That's the problem. And when you don't have the right team to understand that, then it can either go, there's a spectrum to it. So it can either go all the way left and then it starts looking like DC, or it can find that perfect balance of what the center of DC is. Because again, so many people put Dark Knight super high in their pedestal because it had that balance and it was still dark, but then it was very, very enjoyable. Man of Steel showed the more vulnerable side of Superman, and it wasn't your typical happy-go-lucky Superman, and that's what made it so much better, because it was raw. Josh, who obviously came from Avengers and that kind of side, he was taking the remedies and the medicines from there and trying to put it into DC, and it was a big issue. And then I think, for example, when you look at Shazam's a character who, you know, I don't want to obviously give a, you know, I don't want to kind of reference Marvel, but when obviously you look at Marvel and it's all colorful and stuff, even though even though Shazam does have a dark history, you know, that kind of stuff, it does have that balance of light, hope, and he's a very playful character and stuff like that, which is why it's still, do you understand? So I think in essence with DC, the problem is that they don't have the right people to actually root for a movie like this. So when you have Snyder, who actually falls deep into something like this type of project, you're gonna have a great movie like Snyder Cut. So
go on, sorry, Steph. Sorry, this question for Jamie. So what did you make of Cyborg's character arc, and did it live up to expectations, Jamie?
For me, it greatly exceeded my expectations. I have not seen the Justice Cut since like it first came out, so I had to rewatch some like YouTube videos and different things to like catch myself back up. And then watching the Snyder Cut, I'm like, oh my god, like I can see why he was like firing bullets at the studio, like, hey, like you completely messed up my character. Something is absolutely wrong. So yeah, they definitely fixed Cyborg's character. And a lot of people have been saying that he's kind of become the main character for the Snyder Cut, which I definitely agree with. He had like a lot of character development, and I feel like he was kind of the thread that pulled a lot of different characters together. So yeah, I definitely think they really improved his character and fleshed him out quite a bit, and it just made him feel like a more integral part of the movie instead of just somebody they kind of threw in for whenever they needed him.
Absolutely. I just think when it comes to compare, because I literally watched the Joss Whedon cut before I watched the Snyder cut. Like I literally watched the Joss Whedon cut, took an hour break, and went into the Snyder cut. And the parallels between Cyborg in the original and Cyborg in, you know, the Snyder cut is just miles and leaps and bounds better than what I was expecting, because they really just had him as like some kind of side, not even like B-list, like D-list character in the film. But the way like Zack utilized him, as you said, like almost like the connected thread between all the characters and like the overarching story, I think was great. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like it was like, you know, it came out of nowhere. It was very much intertwined to the entire story, and like the kind of moment of Cyborg at the end being like almost the deciding factor as to whether or not the mother boxes were going to I guess take over and terraform the Earth for Darkseid's arrival, I think was great. I think like Cyborg was dealt justice that he wasn't getting in the original cut. It's hard to fault Ray Fisher's performance in that film, because it's like, well, if there was all this kind of shot, why wasn't it in the original? Why did Joss cut so much of Cyborg's story and his part in it? Like,
we know why.
It's ridiculous. No, we know why, but I'm just asking. Like, it's ridiculous. Like
yeah, for real. It made no sense.
It made none. It made none. And it's baffling to me. But
that's also on Warner Bros. Themselves, because that goes back to the thing of they kept looking over their shoulder, and I think they heard the whispers of everyone saying, well, it's not the MCU. So they literally imported someone from the MCU to try and brighten this movie up, quote unquote. And so Joss did his thing.
But that doesn't even work, because the previous Justice League films weren't even like bright and cheerful. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, yes, BVS Scott is like, I know we're going backtracking a little bit. Yeah, BVS Scott is it's scrutiny and everything else, but Man of Steel overall was a great film. But we didn't need Justice League to be a Marvel film. We needed Justice League to be a DC film.
Yeah.
That's what they're not getting.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, but the streets wanted a more colourful.
Joey, no, Joey,
I
no.
think that's what they thought. The streets wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
But
not what
It came from somewhere though.
But
Where did it come from?
They saw this.
It come from somewhere. There's a reason why people quote unquote hate Zack for a reason. It's not come out of the
It
thin
came
air.
from the media, though.
It came from the media.
The writers.
It came from primary
Exactly.
school, preschool. That's where it came
Like,
from.
Listen,
The thing we have to remember here is all the critics who trash BVS and was trying to set what they wanted the DC universe to be. None of those guys are young guys that grew up reading comics. These are old, sorry people, the old white guys that are kind of just like, it's not colorful. I don't really like it. Do something else.
They want Superman still in trunks, basically. That's what it
And
is.
even when people watch the BVS Ultimate Edition, people were
They were
like,
still complaining.
okay, it's better. I was thinking,
But not a lot of people watched it. That's the thing, though. Unfortunately.
No, of course, but like,
It's hard to convince people to watch
I mean,
it, to be honest.
going back to your
Same.
point, Joey, though, it's like they saw what Warner Brothers saw was the success of Marvel. I thought they had to replicate it, which is why I said the people at the top don't really care about the characters, because if they did, they wouldn't try to replicate them to Marvel standards. They would bring them to DC standards, because at least then we as consumers are not seeing the same formula in both camps. Do you know what I mean? We can go to a Marvel film, like for most people anyway. We can go to a Marvel film and we know what to expect from a Marvel film. We can go to a DC film and know what to expect for a DC film. I don't want to go to a DC film and then see elements of Marvel. Do you get what I mean? Like I don't want to. Go on.
No, I was gonna say that I want, like, my favorite graphic novel of all time is The Dark Knight Returns, which is a Frank Miller graphic novel, and I was really wanted the Batman versus Superman story to be dark, so I wanted it to be dark, but because it flopped, they pressed the panic button because of what we were doing, and they should have just stayed the course.
Period.
As Steph said, there have been Marvel movies that have not been good, but they still stayed the course, and that's what they should have done.
Exactly.
And of Cyborg, I thought he was like the heart of the film, and I think Zack kind of understood his actors, and I think Ray Fisher is one of the better actors in the cast, so he gave him more of the emotional beats in the film, and I think he done a great job. But do people know whether he's going to be continuing? He's not continuing?
Now see,
Miles, you're asking a lot.
Now see, that's actually the next question that we want to pose to you lot. Like, do you think after the success of the Snyder Cut, because to be honest with you, even though it's only been a couple of days, it's been a success. Do you think WB are gonna go back according to Zack to be like, we need you to continue making DC films? Do you think? Wait. Do you think we're gonna get Zack as our DC Kevin Feige? Because that's what I think they're missing. They're missing that one guy to just be like, all right, cool. These are the films we're gonna make.
They need a linear vision.
Yeah. Before I let obviously you guys answer the question, I would say the reason why I see that very unlikely due to the fact that all of Zack Snyder's movies in the test audiences, they bombed the test audiences, and that
See?
Warner Brothers scared, and that made them obviously Warner Brothers. They
Which
think about the bottom.
who's the test audience though, G? Like,
But Timmy, you're saying this, but the money shows as well.
Test audiences. I'm just saying that made Warner Brothers scared and made them think about the bottom line. They care about the money, so they're thinking, if this guy's movie's not making money, we've got to pivot to a method that will make us money.
Okay, wait. Sorry. Let's try to thought. Joanne, I'm gonna come to you in just a sec, but I just want to make one thing. It's like, okay, test audiences say the film's gonna bomb, fine. But if we look at the social impact of one tweet of one person saying release a Snyder Cut, comparing that to the so-called test audiences and so-called, we might not make money off this film, doesn't that scream volumes to you? Because again,
you guys are downplaying how
I'm
perceived Zack Snyder is. In the
I'm not downplaying it. I understand it completely, but I just think like, even if Zack is one of the most hated directors in Hollywood, which he probably is, and I don't understand why. Because anyway, even if that's the case, when you've got a director who knows how to make money for a particular audience, which is what Zack has done and is what Zack can do, who cares who hates him? If you really want to make money, hire him again. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but no, I don't think so. I think
it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
If Warner Brothers do that, they concede defeat in a sense as well, and I don't think they actually have that in them. So
they're stubborn. They're very stubborn.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also,
Joanne, go.
Also, it's tough. Like, I'm gonna be that guy. Personally, to the Cyborg question, I thought it was more fleshed out. He was great. I still, to this day, don't like Cyborg being in the Justice League. Never has, never should be. He's a Teen Titan.
Okay.
Hal Jordan or John Stewart should be in that spot, not Cyborg.
Facts.
That's a different conversation.
I'll give you that one.
They took that from him.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, they based that Justice League movie off of the New 52.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
they did.
Yes,
they did.
Like, idiotic. But anyway, I don't think two things. I've said this probably since BVS comes out. DC does not need a Kevin Feige. Here's why. You have one clear plan where one guy walks in the office and goes, all right, what do we want our first movie to be? What do we want our 25th movie to be? Let's stay on course of that. You don't need a Kevin Feige because they don't make Kevin Feiges. That's one individual. You'll never find another person that is that devoted to what they're working on. I mean, they tried it. They put Jeff Johns in there. Jeff Johns couldn't handle it.
Let's not talk about Jeff Johns.
Let's
not talk about Jeff Johns. Let's not talk about Jeff Johns.
Don't worry.
Well, listen.
But what I'm saying, to me, the reason why I don't need Zack, nor do I want Zack in that position, is he is very flawed long term. This is a guy who introduced us to a 50-year-old Batman, a dead Robin, without even exploring all the 20 plus years we have missed. So it's like the guy wants to start at the end and then.
Is that flawed though? Is that? I just think.
It's very
flawed. Could you wait.
Here's why I said
tell me why it's flawed. Tell me why it's flawed. I'll say why it's not.
I want Shekinah to answer.
Wait. Let him say why it's flawed. They want to hear what Shekinah has to say. Then I'm gonna say what I have to say. But go.
Okay, so I think it's flawed because if we go through the history of Batman's, somewhat taking out the Dark Knight trilogy, it's always been origin, next, within the first 5 years of becoming Batman. We've never seen Batman flesh out. I don't count those ones where there's a fake Robin and fake Batwoman. We haven't seen legit young Robin grow into Nightwing, explore the idea of other Robins. So you're not only are you starting it that he's looking to retire because he's sick of it. It's the idea that the Robin you killed wasn't even the right Robin to kill.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Grayson. So it's like you're starting at the end to what even in the Josh Whedon Justice League, you had Ben's Batman kind of going, I am just too old for this. Like, if I die, great, because I'm just too old to be doing this. And it's just to the point to where it's like you want a shared universe to where you can establish your Bruce Wayne, flesh out all of that, and continue the story. And Zack very much, I mean, listen to his recent interview. He was talking about his end game was to kill Batman. So it's like, that's
great. That's great.
Like that.
That's freaking amazing. That's great. Shekinah. Tell him why he's wrong. Tell him why he's wrong.
I sort of half agree. Like I think like we've seen Batman. We've seen there's been so many Batman movies, and we haven't seen him at that age that he is now. So I feel like it's perfectly fine. It's fine to explore new avenues. Plus, I heard that Zach had like a 5-movie plan. I don't think he's like stopping where he is now. I think he has plenty to go. He set up so many things in this one movie. So I feel like he probably is the right person to reinstate and, you know, keep for the next, like for the future. It makes sense.
Period.
So anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar because I feel like they're kind of going a little bit with the Marvel route of, you know, the new Spider-Man. You don't see Uncle Ben die again. Because it's like that's been established. We already know what happens with that and how that affects Spider-Man's character. So I think they're trying to move forward from that like cinematic part of Batman's life just to get to the new stuff. But I don't know, like seeing the Robin, like what Timmy was saying, like I think that definitely would have been cool for me. So it's bittersweet.
Like I like the idea of these directors taking these characters that we love, and they don't necessarily have to bastardize them, but I think they're allowed to have the creative freedom to explore slightly different avenues within the kind of confines of what we already know. So you can give us a Batman that's done Batman for 20 years with a Robin that killed off, I don't know, and still will lead up to a point where we are introduced to a particular Robin, whether that's freaking Tim Drake, whether that is a Batwoman, whoever it is. Like there is still opportunities for a Robin or for a Batman sidekick to exist in this current timeline, even if they have had a 20-year gap missing in terms of the show, or sorry, in terms of the movies. I just think we don't need to literally stick to the comics all the time. Do you know what I mean? We can take from and still explore other avenues. We don't need to have a Batman who, you know, we're watching his parents die again. We're watching him recruit Robin again. We're watching him fight Joker again. Like for me, that's boring.
Watching him fornicate with Batwoman again.
Watching him. Wait.
What you're saying isn't false, but did anyone hear what his game plan was for the 3 Justice League movies?
I read some bits. Yeah.
So my issue is you're saying, we could still get a Robin down the line. And he's saying you're not.
That's fine.
That's all right.
But that's fine. That's fine.
That's
fine.
Because I did see somewhere, well, I don't know if it's still in production, but I did see they're going to have an individual Nightwing movie. Apparently, that's what I read somewhere else. And on top of that, there is like other, I guess with the cop out of a lot of these universes is that there's so many alternate realities. So you've got flipping Robert Pattinson doing another version of Batman. You've got you had Joker with another do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's one of those ones where, of course, you want to make sure that the foundations of the main continuity of the DC world is solid. But you know, you do have the thing where you can play around with other realities, you understand? So Robin doesn't have to not exist.
I'm with you if you're telling me that this Snyder world is an Elseworld story.
It has. Listen,
I don't mind. But if you're telling me this is my main continuity and my Batman's already 56,
Robin's your favorite character, isn't it?
He loves Robin.
Like, my favorite character. To me, it's like if you hadn't done a movie Justice yet. I kind of want to see that live in the sun at some point. And you're not telling me the only Robin I ever get to experience is the Robin that he went out and adopted that was already 30 years old. Come on,
why not?
That's just
like, I just feel like when it comes to the comic book movies, you have to look at them as existing in their own universe. They cannot be. You cannot think of them existing in the already established comic book universes that we know. It's essentially in a sense it's an Elseworld in a sense movie. They exist in their own, like think of the Marvel movies as Earth.
Hulk. Look at Hulk.
Earth 717. I don't know. Give it a number. And think of the DC movies as another like number universe. I know, but you have to think of them as existing in their own universes. So the characters aren't going to be the same.
I would ask you this: if someone was to tell you that they were starting an Avengers universe, right? Like we didn't have the current MCU. They're starting it today. Stark is about to retire and die within like the next 3 movies. You would go, well, wait a minute, like can I maybe get some of what came before you get to that finish line?
Do you know what? Ash, what was you going to say? Ash, go.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like the multiverse, right? Because they dropped that word like a couple of times in the movie, right? And why can't we have the multiverse exist in the DCEU? Why can't we have Pattinson's Batman doing his thing, and then we have Ben's Batman doing his thing, right? And it's like I think that we can still have that type of reality, and we can still have the multiverse essentially there. It doesn't have to be the same thing as it is like in the comics, but I don't think that like not seeing a Robin like in a Batman movie like it should be like the end all be all. Like I think like we can still get enough, and also like I think Snyder just leaves a lot of doors open for us to go back, or other directors to go back or whatever, to like explore like that 28-year gap or whatever it is between the start of BVS and when Robin died. So I think like we can, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
No,
I like this. Hold
on. I just want to add something real quick. You said multiverse, and I feel like they've confirmed that the multiverse definitely exists because Ezra Miller's Flash was in CW Flash, like he was in the show. So I think they've acknowledged the multiverse. But then in the Flash TV show, they defo like X'd out the multiverse. It doesn't exist anymore. They're all on one Earth. So that whole multiverse concept on that side just doesn't even play with this one either. It doesn't really work together.
Well, to me, a multiverse is something that should be earned, and they're using it now to retcon the mistakes of yesterday. And to me, all I'm saying is there's no reason why you can't just tell your audience we're soft rebooting it. Robert Pattinson is your Batman. Henry Cavill or whatever J.J. Abrams is about to do is your Superman. And we're bringing Gal Gadot back, Jason Momoa, Ezra. This is our new Justice League world. And it seems like they would much rather throw a whole bunch of things to see what sticks. And whatever critics love, they're like, all right, we'll go with that. And then we'll not really pay attention to that over there. And to me, that is a visual mess.
So
and that's why I'm like, don't do a multiverse.
So do you think with the way Zach has made the Snyder Cut, because like Ash said, Zach has opened up a lot of doors to things happening. I mean, we'll go over this in a bit, but we've seen Martian Manhunter, we've seen the GL, we've seen the Halls of Justice destroyed. We've had 2 night vision scenes. We've seen potentially the Atom might appear. Like there are so many things that we've seen in the Snyder Cut that weren't present.
You were robbed.
So in a sense, do you think even if Zack doesn't return, he's at least been like, okay, well, I've established these characters potentially existing in this universe. Do what you will. I've collected my money. I ain't doing another DC movie again.
I don't think so, Timmy.
No?
I agree.
Nah, I feel like their relationship got to such a point where they will do everything to distance themselves from Zack and his ideas, that they will want to go their own ways. And it's kind of shown in the movies that's been released thus far since Justice League. So they made, in my opinion, they made Aquaman a bit, quote unquote, more Marvel-y. They made Suicide Squad what it was. Shazam.
I forgot about Suicide Squad.
Shazam.
I like
Shazam. See, look, I like Shazam. His character fits in the way where, yeah, he is bright enough to, like, he's Billy Batson, so he can be cheesy, corny, and whatnot. But they did play on it a bit more. So you can see that they've distanced themselves from Zack's original ideas, even with the fact that they went and got Matt Reeves to do a reboot for Batman. So I feel like everything that came out thus far, especially their beef with Ray Fisher and then subsequently Ezra Miller, they don't want to pursue those things because they might get rid of those 2 as well.
I mean, there was an article that came out a few days ago, and Zach was talking about the end of the movie and how he had shot the end of that scene, like it was supposed to be a Green Lantern, it was supposed to be John Stewart that was coming in, and they said no, we have something planned for him, so he had to like switch it up and have that be Martian Manhunter instead. So it's like if they're willing to do that with this movie, like where he is saying that he's not taking any money from it, he just wants creative control over how it goes, like I don't trust them to like actually bring him back and say that you have full control over all of this. I still see them like being like little things over his shoulder, like watching to see like when is he gonna mess up, and then go from there.
All right, let's move on. Comic chick.
All right, so
what do you think of Steppenwolf?
A lot better. And kind of like what we said at the beginning about his motivations being completely different, and how that kind of changes everything for how the movie flows. It's a 4-hour movie, but it didn't feel like that long. Like I watched it, didn't get bored. It didn't feel like I was just watching this whole thing that was simply about the mother boxes. And the fact that his motivation was to kind of please Darkseid or get on his good side meant that we're kind of waiting to see something else. So kind of what we said about setting up all these different doors, all these different avenues that we could go down, because we haven't really seen what happens then, their interaction, what's going to happen next. Does he ever please him, etc., etc. It leaves so many questions for us. So I think the character was portrayed a lot better.
You want to?
Definitely agreed.
Yeah, I will say that Stephen Wolf is a like I'll compare him in the Justice League version. He was like Paper Mario, a very two-dimensional character, but in this one he had more layers. He was more. His scenes were even written better. In the original, I found that he acquired the mother boxes too quickly, and it was too easy for him to do that. And obviously, he had the overarching bad over him dark side of why he's doing what he's doing. As I said, he was very two-dimensional in the first one, but in this one you kind of empathize with him very slightly, even though he's still very
with 50,000 worlds you're gonna empathize with him now. That's a bit I'd rather go by myself,
but we never got to find out what he actually did though.
I think if you're going by the comics, wasn't there uprising on Apocalypse? Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in regards to the movie, I read that apparently Steppenwolf tried to overthrow.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, his betrayal. Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
It's something to do with his family.
I
remember they said that.
Because hold on. Steppenwolf is related to Darkseid.
Uncle, right?
Yeah, it's his uncle.
In the comics, he's Darkseid's uncle. And when Apocalypse and what's the other world? I can't remember the name of the other one.
New Gods.
Yeah, New Gods. That world, he was responsible, I think, for them going to war with each other and some part of it. So that was his betrayal in the comics, but I didn't know that they explained that outside.
They mentioned it briefly.
Oh,
yeah, from what I remember. Can't remember what I was gonna say now. But yeah, I mean,
you see,
go on, Jay.
You see, Steppenwolf, I liked him as a character. They did flesh him out more in this movie compared to what was run with him in 2017, whenever it was. But I still don't like his visuals. I still don't like the CGI.
No, it is.
I won't lie.
I feel like when you have,
I feel like it's dated, isn't it?
When you have CGI characters, I feel like it's always going to be hard to convey certain
Of course.
things about the character.
Yeah.
I feel like Thanos was a bit more cleaner. Not to compare again, but I feel like his one, because his arm was translucent as well. It was annoying.
Right.
I like his aesthetic. I like the design. I thought he looked good. I mean, I think I might be wrong, but his weapon as well, the Electro Axe, did he have that before?
He had something. He had something like that beforehand. Yeah.
But even
he had the axe, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah. It wasn't glowing.
I mean, Steppenwolf, I was fine with. I was probably a little bit more offended with how Darkseid wasn't muscular enough. I kind of wanted him.
Really?
You didn't see the slow camera up his thighs, that's
it was
muscular.
just it was like Darkseid said, "Man, I'm in a pandemic too. I'm not."
Gyms are closed.
Yeah, it was just all right, that's not as menacing as I was hoping he would look.
No, I can see that.
Like my villains to tower. I need them to tower.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Darkseid was looking kind of short. He's supposed to be. He's supposed to be 8 foot, 9 foot tall.
Yeah, but to
you got a height preference to me.
To be fair, Zach ignores a lot of height differences in his universe. Batman being the same height as Superman is just.
I mean,
with Zach, he just doesn't care.
I can ignore that, but honestly, I was expecting Darkseid to be. Maybe not even just muscular. He should be a lot bigger, a lot taller than what they were showing.
Honestly, think about how Thanos looked and just put Darkseid's face there. That's how he should have looked, and it would have been a lot better. But Steppenwolf.
Maybe that's why they didn't do it like that, just to make that distinction from Thanos.
But they should have.
If they did that, Jabe, that will break my heart because people don't realize Darkseid came first, and it's
Yep.
Darkseid's not a carbon copy of Thanos. Thanos is a carbon copy
of Darkseid.
So it's like if that's the case, oof, that would break my heart. But Steppenwolf, I did like him deciding to not go with a human face and go more monster. That's I was completely fine with that. I kind of looked at him more as like being like a Goldar, like if you guys remember the old Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like Lord Zed was like Darkseid, and he was kind of just like Goldar, like the disposable henchman. But I really do like the added depth that kind of gave him, and I like that he found the one thing Darkseid was looking for, to where Darkseid was just like, all right, you killed them, and maybe
you can come back home.
Maybe we'll have a discussion about you coming back. Maybe,
right. He's like, 'cause I've been looking for that, so all right, maybe I'll give it to you.
I don't know. For me, the whole villain thing, visual sizes, I think it brings the question of what they're trying to say a villain or a hero is. Is it about the way they look? Is it about the character? And for me, obviously, there's the whole thing of Diana being in the cave and seeing the image of Darkseid and the kind of the prophecies on the walls. He's already supposed to be the scariest thing anyone can imagine. Everyone on Earth, whether it was like the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, the humans, they all had to combine their efforts already to defeat this. So for me, it's like, to me, they're kind of already implying what a villain is without the visuals. So I get it, but I feel like it's really not that deep. Like we can do without the visuals.
I mean, I still like, don't get me wrong, Darkseid does look menacing, but I just think like for the overall, like, because when Darkseid arrives on Earth, I'm expecting Darkseid to tower over Superman. Do you get what I mean? I'm not expecting him and Super to be like eye to eye. I expect Darkseid to be this powerful, almost overbearing presence on anyone that approaches him. I don't want my Darkseid to be 5'4", bruv. You need like,
I will always say,
like, do you know what I mean?
Like 5'4", come on.
I will always say visuals definitely matter.
They do.
Look at what happens. Look at what happened in Doctor Strange. Look at how Dormammu looked, and it's like visuals matter. Like we definitely wanted to see.
Of course they do to an extent. Like, of course they do to an extent, which is why we hated the first Justice League movie. This movie was absolutely crap. But what I'm saying is, like, there's certain details in them that we can ignore or forgive, let's say. Definitely things they could improve, but not worth kind of knocking points off of.
Did anyone have an issue with Darkseid the first time we see him taking an L?
Yes, I have
I
an issue with that. I'm like, what? And by just an
Jamie
axe to the shoulder, he's like, oh, I'm out, that's it. Y'all drag me back in the ship, we going home. I'm like, what? Like, that doesn't seem very menacing at all to me. Exactly. Like, the aesthetic, I feel like I didn't have a huge problem with it, but the fact that he just immediately takes an L, like, within the first few minutes that we see him, I'm like, that...
Word.
Like, I wouldn't be worried about that guy if I were
I
them.
agree,
But
like,
I mean,
Batman was finishing with a hammer, man.
It was the old gods versus the new gods.
Yeah.
So it's not as if, like, come on.
Was it though? Was it the old?
Yeah.
Well, it was Zeus.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, no, you're right.
Zeus and Ares. So
they were
like, they're not chumps.
They were trying to say that Darkseid was like the infantry of Darkseid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That's
right. He hadn't become who he is now.
That's baby Darkseid.
Okay.
That's
before he got the gym membership.
Right.
Before he was
Right.
I would say what offended me out of that battle more was that you had the conversation with Warner Brothers about getting a Green Lantern. They clearly told you can't use the two most popular ones, right? Is there any particular reason why you couldn't have just given me a Guardian in that moment?
I was so annoyed that Green Lantern died super quickly.
So quickly. So quickly.
Waste
Like,
of
show up,
time.
bro.
Waste of a character.
Do you know what would have been sick? I can't lie. I don't know whether it's all up, but you know that moment where the ring is kind of around Darkseid. If Darkseid had grabbed it, and just like kind of
about to pick it up.
I thought I was gonna pick it up and just like not maybe not crush it, but just like hold on to it and keep it. I don't know. I
thought, I would have wanted him to wear it.
I don't know.
Wear it?
That would have been sick.
Wear it, turn red.
I don't know. I believe because Darkseid doesn't side with one particular thought. it
Right.
wouldn't go to any particular color.
Mhm.
I wonder if it would just go mute. Like, because remember, that's not, I don't think it was driven off of anger. Like, I don't think he's angry. I think
No,
it's
no,
just-
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
So it's like it wouldn't immediately go red. It wouldn't go yellow. It wouldn't stay. Would it just go mute? Like
I would have just loved to have seen him just like grab it and like I don't know, stick it in his pocket. I don't know, but okay. I do want to have one burning question. I think Ryan's got a question after, but it's my understanding of the anti-life equation itself. Not okay. It's my understanding of the anti-life equation. Period. Not the equation itself, but more about maybe you guys know more than me. But in the comics itself, has Darkseid acquired the anti-life equation before? Because I always thought the anti-life equation was something that Darkseid was just forever looking for, but never really attained at any moment in the comic books. Kind of similar to, I guess, Thanos and the Infinity Stones, but in this instance, Thanos gets the Infinity Stones. But I always thought the anti-life equation was this thing that no one ever really found. It was just something that it was a concept that existed, but was almost unattainable. Thoughts?
He does.
He does.
Okay. I had to go look it up because I remember I was reading about trying to figure out figuring out the anti-life.
Right.
And what ends up happening, what I'm looking at, it says in 2001, they said that Darkseid and Assad gained the equation from $1 Billion Bates. And I think Bates was a character he think he was just a regular human who had who discovered the anti-life, and then he ended up dying there. But I think he, according to them, they say that he does end up getting it there, but I don't know what book it's in or what comic it's in.
Do you know what the anti-life equation is? Because my stupid butt, I'm just isn't anti-life just death, or what are we talking about here?
So the anti-life equation itself is an equation. Hold on, let me find it for you guys. 1 second.
It removes people of free will, so people will just basically be subservient to Darkseid. They'll just
so the
then if you saw with Superman and stuff, he wasn't Superman.
Yeah.
And everything like that. Just other characters that they were just literally not under their own free will. So that's why you kind of saw Darkseid comforting him and stuff like that, because basically the anti-life equation has literally just been activated.
So the anti-life formula itself is loneliness plus alienation plus fear plus despair plus self-worth divided by mockery divided by condemnation divided by misunderstanding multiplied by guilt multiplied by shame multiplied by failure multiplied by judgment. N equaling Y, where Y equals hope and N equals folly, love equals lies, life equals death, self equals Darkseid. So it's a literal formula, but obviously because I guess within the DC universe side of things, emotions in itself are a power. So I guess I can understand as to how the formula itself can make this anti-life energy thing, as it were. So yeah, the anti-life equation. I do want to see what it's going to be implemented within the DCEU. What does it look like? What's are we going to see Darkseid create the formula and put it together? That type of thing. One thing I will say is Zack was working on, or he had scripted down an idea where the Riddler was given the anti-life equation by
I saw that too.
By who was it? By Luther. So the Riddler solved the anti-life equation because he saw the equation itself as a riddle, and I don't know whether or not that still might happen, because I do find that concept interesting of the Riddler obtaining the anti-life equation, going mad.
He solved it, then killed himself.
That would make a great film. I can't even lie to you. I'd watch that film.
I think that was one of my issues with the film, I believe. I don't know if it was just me, but I don't think the anti-life equation was explained.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
No.
Knowledge of the comics, you'll be like, okay, this is that. But in the movie, I don't think it was explained well at all.
That's one of Zack's problems.
I think it was lost over in regards to just you was just seeing certain scenes of the after effects of the anti-life equation. But going back to what you said, you're right. It's okay, they found it, but can you explain to the audience what basically Timmy just listed, what's actually in it, instead of just showing Superman going mad, everyone going into shits and stuff like that. So yeah,
and I think they tried to I think they tried to explain it when Diana was doing the voiceover, when they were talking about like when Darkseid like came down to Earth. But like even then, it could have been like absolutely could have been explained a little bit more better than like just in that moment, especially if they knew that they were going to keep bringing it up. Like it was the Easter egg, the rabbit or whatever it's called.
I think it was twofold. I think it's very possible that Zach's plan was to explain more, and if he got a second one.
Absolutely.
And I think it also could have been Warner Brothers pushing back, saying, well, Ava DuVernay is doing a New Gods movie where this very likely could maybe show a younger Darkseid, maybe also show his desire to obtain it. Maybe we go deeper there. So I think it might have been twofolds of like, Zach, just, we don't need it here. So I think it was kind of just to give you like a taste of like, for example, how the first Avengers movie ended, to where you were kind of like, if you don't know Thanos or his goal, it didn't really explain it there, but it gave you a taste of what he's looking to obtain, which is more of those stones that you saw introduced in the beginning of that movie. So I think it was just it was a table setter. But no, you're not wrong of like, they just kind of were like, anti-life equation, yeah, it's huge, but who cares? You know, on to the next scene. So they very much did do that.
Got to move on to the next question now, guys. Sorry about that. Well, this one's from Miles, and it was in relation to the nightmare sequence. Did you like it? And if there was to be a sequel, would you want them to expand on that more? So maybe like an Injustice storyline or whatever happens down the line.
I think the epilogue in general, to be honest, I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest.
Same.
What about the interaction with the Joker as well? Specifically, I want to talk about that too.
There was some very good moments of dialogue that I enjoyed in the scene, but in general, I didn't really care for it, to be honest. Even Jared Leto's Joker, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it, even though he was done very dirty in Suicide Squad. A lot of the scenes were cut out. I didn't really care for that scene. However, they did bring some injustice elements with like the Lois Lane dying and the effect that will have on Superman. So to answer your question, I didn't enjoy that scene. However, I would like to see more of that universe, if that makes sense.
Go on, Jamie.
I don't think it's not that I didn't enjoy the scene. I definitely thought it was interesting and can lead to like other movies or just like different plot developments. But it felt like very tacked on, where I felt like we had like a good ending and then like, oh, by the way, here's this. We don't know what to do with it, and you probably won't know either, but here it is. So I don't know. It felt weird to have it in the movie for me, but it definitely does create some interesting dialogue, and I would love for there to be like some kind of Injustice movie in the future.
I would. I'll go kind
Sorry, I think the scene was cool. I didn't actually like Jared Leto's Joker in in Suicide Squad, but I feel like I did warm up to him in like the scene at the end. I think his laugh was 10 times scarier than any laugh I've ever heard. It was like a long, dragging laugh, which I actually really kind of liked. And I'm also a fan of the Injustice storyline as well. So I think I'm interested to see if it could like develop into something else too.
I've always been of the belief that DC should have gone with the Injustice storyline from the beginning. That should have been the storyline they'd gone with to build films around, because I think the Injustice storyline allows them to have this kind of elseworld element where they don't have to stick to the comics per se and offer people a different perspective to the heroes and characters that they do know. And plus, it gives them longevity, because the Injustice storyline is freaking long, but it's freaking amazing as well. And I think personally, it's my favorite DC storyline, period. Just because of how left things go very, very quickly, and how things go left multiple times. I think, I just think they didn't need to kind of do the traditional, okay, Batman, the Wonder Woman, the Superman, then the Justice League film, and then Green Lantern, and then Hawkeye, and then, Hawkman, and do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't need to do that route. They could have done either Injustice, or with the success of the Joker film, just giving us a whole bunch of Elseworld films. Like, I feel like they just missed key opportunities.
The shared universe is not necessarily needed.
It's not necessarily needed, no. Go on.
Just a quick note, because I agree with you in regards to the Injustice storyline, and that kind of world is amazing. But it's so annoying, because you have to think from a business perspective, what are the general audience going to like? Because they're used to seeing Superman or like the godlike, amazing Jesus-like type of character, you know, the good guy. they're used to seeing Wonder Woman as the all-being goddess. Do you know what I'm saying? They're used to seeing Batman as the good. Do you know what I'm saying? But with Injustice, everything's pretty much the total opposite. So do you think the general audience who aren't really used to what they're kind of used to in regards to seeing their favorite characters basically become villains and stuff, do you think that would have sold well in a sense?
So what I'll say to that is this, Steph. I still think we could have had the films where you see the good guys being the good guys. That still could have been the foundation. That still could have been set there, where you see like Wonder Woman being Wonder Woman and having her amazing intro music, and Superman being Supes, and Batman being Batsy and fighting off Joker, whatever it is. And then we get to the point where Injustice kicks off. We get to the point where Joker kills Lois Lane and things just go left. We see a change in Superman. We see a change in Batman. And I think the audience would appreciate that kind of exploration of what it means to be Superman after you've lost the love of your life to the villain who should have been killed off by your best friend years ago. Do you see what I mean? Like that kind of sudden change in the narrative of what it means to be a superhero, and have that explored over multiple films would be amazing, I think. But I agree that if they had just done Injustice from the jump, that would have been an issue, because you can't just have opening scene, lovely park, and then all of a sudden Joker kills Lois Lane, and then do you know what I mean? But
I think you could do both. I think if you had started it in continuity to where you introduce your characters, have the first team-up movie called Dawn of Justice, right? Have the sequel called Injustice, and it ends with Barry legit having to run back through time to try to fix the mistakes. And then the third movie is the rise of the Justice League. Like you actually acknowledging them as the Justice League, to where you get all three arcs of what everyone here is saying they want. And it kind of, it kind of ties itself off with, we now have the full Justice League, but we've gotten a dabble of a darker world where things don't go right and the heroes do lose and they have their Infinity War moment. And we get to see that. But to the original question, I do think someone said here that it kind of felt like it wasn't really, that end scene was set up in dialogue where Bruce is sitting there talking to Diana, where he's like, I kind of had this nightmare to where like Barry was right there and was warning me about Lois. And she was like, well, yeah, that's the love of his life. And he's like, no, I think there's something darker. It spoke to how the end credit scene ended with Superman coming down and just killing everybody. So it spoke to the fact of Bruce was right. There was something deeper and darker out there that was on the horizon. I'd say if there was anything I disliked was, I don't know. I prefer the Suicide Squad Joker. I loved it. I loved what David Ayer was trying to do.
I liked it.
I say to this day, you're not going to tell me with the look of how these young rappers look that a modern day Joker wouldn't look exactly like that with the bright purple Lamborghini.
Man, that little Joker, you know.
Little Joker.
I'd buy the album.
Lil J. They would call him Lil J. That would definitely be
Lil J. Yeah.
Lil J.
I'm sorry. So just segue. I just got the most random image in my head of like the Joker, like invading the Grammys and being like, "Why didn't you guys award me a Grammy for my album?" You know, like and just killing everyone and collecting a whole bunch of Grammys, putting in his Lambo and driving off with Harley Quinn, just getting next to him. I just sorry, yeah.
But it was a very interesting take. I do agree that I swear, as soon as I saw the end of this movie, I was just like, why didn't Zach just do an Injustice movie? Like, to me, it just seems like he wanted to rush to getting to like this alternate world where Superman's not good, the heroes are dying left and right, and it's like, Zach, that's not what a Justice League movie is, though. Like you want your doom and gloom. He should have done a Dark Knight Returns, which is clearly what he wanted to do, and then he should have done an Injustice movie. You know,
period.
Because it just seems like those two stories are the only thing he truly had interest in, and he found a way to shoehorn it in this one movie to make it.
Can I say, I'm in the same camp as Juwan. So on the epilogue, I feel like, so I personally like Jared Leto's Joker as well. I like the pivot from Heath, and then I can't remember who was before Heath.
Jack Nicholson.
That's it. So I like the pivot because we've had different ones. So I like the pivot. And I always say, in regards to Jared Leto's iteration of Joker, I feel like people can't separate what he did in the movie from the mess of the movie itself.
Yeah.
So they always just hit him over the head of the movie. Like, that movie was shit, Joker was shit, throw it all away. So I feel like he came back, he redeemed himself. So that was cool. So I like that. And with the Injustice storyline, so I'm not going to say it would or wouldn't work. I would say it might have been difficult.
Okay.
Because Superman being evil, so Superman being quote unquote evil, he's letting go of his inhibitions and whatnot. That would have been a dark or a little bit of a grittier, darker movie. There are people still complaining to this day that Man of Steel was too destructive as a movie. Like people died, like people literally quoted how much damage was done in the city of Metropolis. People literally say, "How can you be a hero? How can you be a hero?" And he done like $1 trillion worth of damage. Well,
Avengers movie. People ignore the fact that it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Destruction.
That's true.
The only difference was you didn't see buildings falling, people literally dying, but there was way more destruction than that.
So think of it this way. So people complain that Superman was a bit too aggressive, even though he's fighting fucking Zod. People complain that he killed Zod, even though Zod was trying to kill that family.
Right.
And that was literally the only thing.
What do you want him to do?
Felt bad. No, but people, like critics, proper nailed like, how dare Superman kill him? Like, and then even going to Batman vs Superman, to this day, there are people that still say, "What's Batman?" Like they did, like Zack Snyder. He very much doesn't like to hold people's hands through his movies. So it's like sometimes if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. So with everything that was going on in Batman's life, obviously Robin's dead and he's obviously unhinged and suffering from post-traumatic stress. Remember, Batman was shooting guns, killing people and branding people. To this day, there are people that are holding that against him because they have no regard for the fact of where he is in his life. So they're saying that was too dark. That's not the Batman we like. So
I'm not gonna lie, that completely threw me off the first time I saw it. Like I saw Batman hit somebody and I'm like, oh, they're still alive, they're good. And then he started shooting people and I'm like, damn, Batman's killing people. But I accepted it because I'm like, okay, that's the Batman we got now.
No one ever
used to ban people as well.
Since Michael Keaton's Batman, every Batman that come after that has killed. They just haven't killed that openly. But Michael Keaton's Batman set a whole guy on fire and then just let him rock. like just set him on, by the way. Could have just like backed into him and knocked him over.
I just don't understand people's kind of like getting upset because their heroes are killing people. I don't understand. What do you want these guys to do in these situations?
Look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Look at Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon was smoking people, but
he was dapping them. But even then, it's like even in the comics, Superman has killed. Okay, even if it's a case like Superman doesn't kill actual human beings, he's killed living beings. Death is death. Count. Bro, no, I'm sorry. No, bro, I'm sorry. No, bro, I'm sorry. Death is death. If something is alive and you kill it and it's dead, death is death.
Doesn't count.
Nah, count. Nah.
I don't make the rules, bro.
I think why people don't like their heroes killing is that's the one thing that separates good from evil. So
no, it's not.
That's literally the only thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's one-dimensional, but that's how people look at it.
Nah.
In the Black Panther, what was the only thing wrong with Killmonger's mindset? Is that he was willing to kill people to achieve it. No, but I'm saying the only thing that was wrong about his ideology was he was just like, the only way to achieve it is to murder.
Killing anything, yeah.
Right, so that's why T'Challa was just like, you're not wrong, but the killing part, I can't allow that. So that's what I'm saying. It's the only thing that separates the good from the evil. Because Thanos, his plan was just like, yo, we don't really need all these people. And it's like, yeah, we don't, but...
Thanos killed half the universe and no one complains, you know.
But Thanos was right. Thanos was right. That's the only...
Let's try to circle back to the point in terms of... we've all seen the comic panels where Diana says that the difference between me and Batman and Superman, that I actually deal with my problems. They just prolong it and let things...
And that's why she's a G.
The heroes
exactly.
The heroes are meant to be better than us. Their moral grounding is meant to be at such a high level where no matter the circumstances, they're not meant to kill.
But they're human.
They might be humans, but they're superhuman, so they hold at a standard that
held at a higher standard.
everyday
than us.
people are not held to.
Yeah.
They held standards,
And
and
that's
they're meant
so
to adhere to those standards. That's why the difference, and that's why people get angry when Batman and Superman kill. I've been saying Batman killing for ages.
Listen,
Oh, he's been
gonna die.
absolutely.
Batman has been deading people for time. If it may not be an instant death, but it's a slow death.
They ain't got insurance in Gotham.
They ain't got insurance. Like,
Fam,
do you
they're dying.
know what it is? So Batman will beat up people black and blue, right? Internal injuries, ruptured organs, ruptured brain, all that kind of stuff. And then he'll go as Bruce Wayne and be like, well, the Bruce Wayne Foundation, we just donated £2 billion to such and such hospital and such orphanage, not knowing that a couple years, couple years down the line, those same orphans that he's donating money to are gonna become criminals, and then him and Robin are gonna go beat them up and then kill them later anyway. So like, it's one big cycle. I don't know.
Pipeline to crime.
Basically, all funded by Bruce Wayne.
So I have a question. Comic Chick, what would you say was your favorite moment throughout the movie? What do you think stood out for you? What was something that you probably didn't see in the Justice League that you saw in the Snyder Cut? Or what was just something that was just like, oh my gosh?
You know what? I don't think I have a favorite moment specifically. And maybe that's because I've only watched it once. I might need to watch it again and pick a favorite moment. But for me, it's just, I feel like it's a smoother movie in terms of just setting us up for what happens. With Justice League, I don't know, you feel kind of lost. Even as someone who knows what's going on or who has read the comics, you feel lost. It's just like, what is going on? There's no smoothness to it. It doesn't flow. You feel awkward. Whereas with this, I think, and like I said earlier, it's a 4-hour movie, but it doesn't feel that way. You're kind of walked through each and every step of, okay, this person's arc is here, this person's arc is here, this is how they join together, and this is what happens. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not a kind of all over the place type of movie. Yeah, about favorite moment, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I've watched it once.
Ash, what about you?
I really liked the scene where they decide to bring Superman back because that was the scene that pissed me off. One of the scenes that pissed me off the most in the original movie. And I like the fact of how they gave each like member a responsibility to like get to that decision there. And I like how the camera, like as they were like talking about like what the mother box does, that whole metaphor, like with the house and the smoke. I liked how the camera was panning around to each of them. I loved how Superman's theme was falling in the background. And I loved the fact that like when it got to like that crescendo, like it was, and he's in the sky, who was looking at him, who's the camera on? It's on Batman. Like he's the one that ultimately like makes the decision, at least like to me in the way that I interpret it. And like, I just respected a lot and how like they chose to like go about that scene, because I think like that was probably like going to be the hardest scene to like figure out like how are they all going to come to this decision to like bring him back to life. So that was the one I liked the most.
That was amazing. Miles, Shekinah, and then Jawan, then Jamie, then Ryan, then Joey, then Ludo, then to me.
Yeah, my favorite moment in the film. I know I'm wearing the Star Labs hoodie as well.
Okay.
My favorite moment in the film was when Barry went into the Speed Force to go back into time, and that whole with Ray Fisher as well. He kind of fully painted the emotional stakes of it as well. Like he was desperate, Barry, but that was my favorite. And it was very beautiful. Like the cinematography, like you saw the universe, and it was kind of rebuilding as he ran. That was an amazing scene. That was my favorite, undoubtedly.
Who's next?
I was gonna say the exact same thing, exactly the same thing. Like it was just everything. I think that was literally my favorite scene in a comic movie of all time favorite scene. It's the way everything just slowed down around him, and then all the lightning. It was just beautiful. I love that scene.
Mine's weird. It's definitely the scene where Superman's fighting everybody because it was drastically different than the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
What stood out to me the most was I grew up on a Batman who does not stand down from no being ever. And in the theatrical cut, when Superman goes a step towards Batman, he has his hands up like, oh no, don't kill me. In this cut, he's just sitting there like, all right, man, like, like don't do this. But I mean, if you're going to, I ain't gonna beg. So that just stood out to me because that's Batman. Batman's the guy that tries to talk you out of it, but if not, he doesn't mind facing the inevitable. And to me, that definitely stood out to me.
Jamie?
For me, one of my favorite scenes was the fight in Themyscira. I don't know. I just really like the action in that scene. And I feel like it was a much, much, much better way to start the movie. It immediately had my attention from the jump. And that was just like, I feel like a really good way to introduce Darkseid. I think my absolute favorite would probably have to be Wonder Woman's first like fighting scene because that was just badass. There's no other way for me to explain it. That was just really good. There was like actual moments of tension for me where I was like, oh, like, is she gonna like miss the bullet? Somebody gonna get hit? And then she ends up saving everybody. So that was also really dope for me. The scene that sticks out the most for me though was the scene with Aquaman like walking into the ocean and those like ladies are singing for him or something, and then she sniffs his sweater. I'm like, what was that about? That was just kind of weird. That might just end up being my favorite scene as like a funny moment. Eventually, I have to rewatch the movie, but yeah, that was super weird. But definitely, it had my attention. It had my attention.
Awesome. Ryan?
Yeah, I'm with Miles. I'm with Shekinah. The Barry scene. I think for me, if you look at the original cut and you look at how they done Barry dirty, and then you look at this one, it was just completely different. And then when he starts to like enter the Speed Force, it was just something that I've not seen personally before. The way they sort of portrayed it was completely new, and I was invested. And now I'm just hoping that they continue with that because it feels like he's just touching like the surface of his powers in terms of like, oh, all I've got to do is run faster than the speed of light. So if they sort of expand on that on later films, then it will make that scene even better for me.
Joey, if you're there.
Let's go to
Ludo.
I would say probably my favorite scene. You know the scene when Cyborg is just going through his powers and just knows find out what he can do. I would say when he helped the single mom out, that just showed how even though he's been transformed to this machine, he still has like a human side and he still has like emotions, and it shows that he still has a big heart, even though it's all mechanical now. But it shows that he just adds more depth to his character as well, and that just shows that that got taken away from us in the first movie, and now we're seeing that just how much heart he has. I think that's probably my favorite thing. Just because he was, I saw him as the main character in this movie.
Timmy.
I have a lot of favorite scenes from this film. I don't think there's any one scene that stands out to me overall, but like the initial fight in Themyscira against Darkseid, I thought was incredible. I just like seeing Darkseid facing, I guess, this army of Earth, I guess it was, against him was incredible to watch. Cyborg, getting used to his powers was a great scene as well. There's this one moment in the film where like all of them, like in the Avengers Age of Ultron, they've got that slow-mo scene in the forest with like all the Avengers kind of they've got that moment in Justice League, which I think is always kind of sick. You want that kind of superhero moment where it's like, oh, we've arrived, we're about to do this shit. And I will say Batman kind of going solo against the parademons was kind of cool. In the car, jumping out the car, popping them all with a gun. I thought that was pretty cool as well. I don't want to speak negative in terms of scenes I don't like because that's kind of a segue, but I will say it's interesting to see how many people liked the Flash's Speed Force scene because I do have issues with the Flash.
Same.
I still have issues too. I like the scene, but I have issues.
I like the scene. Okay, the scene.
We'll get there.
Okay. Joey, favorite scene.
Favorite moments.
I've got two. So the first one will be when Superman was punching up Steppenwolf without no remorse, pinned him down. I literally thought Snyder Cut. Maybe Diana might say, "Yo, Kal-El," like because he was literally
Kal-El, no.
Like you good?
Because remember, he used his heat vision to take off his horn. Like it was a complete mismatch. It was like putting Black Widow up against Thanos. Like it was bad. So that one, my second one, honestly, would be when they're fighting in the tunnel. And originally, Joss Whedon had Flash fall onto Diana and fall onto her boobs. This one, I was proper surprised when he just made the Flash do Flash shit and he ran fast and tripped into the wall. I was like, wow, this is so much better. and Joss is a real creep, because why on earth did he go out of his way to reshoot that and insert such a vile piece of writing? Like, yeah. So that I liked the reshoot. Well, is it a reshoot? It's probably the original scene.
I think it's the original,
I like that.
I think it's the original.
Yeah, it's the original, because he only shot like 5 minutes extra stuff. So I like that original scene of the Flash being the Flash, and it just flowed better because there was more. Yeah, just better.
Before we move on to the next question, I'll just say my favorite scene, because I've agreed with everyone else's, but nobody's mentioned that my favorite scene is just that Man of Steel renaissance again, when Superman goes back to his ship, he comes out with a black suit. You literally have flashbacks of Man of Steel when he has like the fist on the ground. You have the Junkie XL music going in again. You have the quotes of his father, and then obviously Jonathan Kent hearing in the background and stuff, and then he shoots up into the sky. Shivers. That's my favorite scene. But yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. So just so like everyone knows what's going on, we're gonna discuss least favorite scene, and then I guess what's the follow-up question to that, Ryan?
Josh Whedon and his.
There we go. I'm gonna talk Joss Whedon. All right, cool. So
we talk the politics.
We'll talk the politics. So right. So what is your least favorite scene from the film? We'll start with Jawan, then Comic Chick, then Jamie, and then from there we'll go afterwards. So yeah, Jawan, least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene. Ooh. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Dang it. I guess I'll say, because Jamie brought it up. I tried so hard to forget this scene. Thank you, Jamie. Them just singing the Aquaman. I don't know. What are you looking at? Like, and I don't want to sound insensitive.
When did that happen?
Something. Maybe that's what they do to like their heroes or something. I don't know. It was just like there was no setup to it. Like I don't know. It was just really like, and then it went a little too long. Like it became comfortable. So where it's just like, all right, we get it. Like you really love him. You sniffing his shirt. You got to end this at some point, Zach. So if I had to pick anything out of a movie I thoroughly enjoyed, it would be probably that, because it was just so weird.
I think mine would be the same. It's the sniffing of the jumper. And do you know what? Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, okay, maybe this is like a traditional thing. Like, it means something, and they're gonna tell us what the hell it means. But that was
That make too much sense.
Yeah,
that would make too much sense.
Fair enough. Like, I'd say I kind of didn't like how, like the whole accident scene with the Flash and how he runs. Like, I don't know what it is with his running. It just.
He does have a weird form, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like he's slapping.
It is running. Like when you see them kind of doing like this, it's like I don't know why he doesn't run like this. Like
I don't know. And in general, I feel like we had too many moments where we had the kind of camera slowing down.
That was annoying as well.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, okay, we get it. Like you don't have to do this every single time. We get he's fast. Just get on with it, So that's something else that just annoyed me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the Aquaman sniffing the sweater, just weird singing moment as well. I was trying to think like what else really sticks out to me that I was just like, oh, that's weird, or I didn't like it. But I think that is probably the only scene that I think they should have just cut that short. That was just weird.
All right, Joey.
Yeah, I probably echoed the slow-mo was a bit over the top. I don't really have too many dislikes about, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'll just say the slow-mo.
Okay. Miles?
And Cyborg, and I didn't like Cyborg's, the look of Cyborg's suit.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that it pissed me off throughout the whole movie. He looks like Terminator 2, bro.
Oh,
Miles.
Yeah, with Cyborg, I thought he looked alright, but I think in the first half the CGI at times looked a bit dodgy. But you can forgive that. It was a minor. In terms of least favorite scene, it's very difficult for me to pick one. obviously with the Aquaman thing, there were a few weird things that he kept on taking his shirt off for no reason. That kind of.
I didn't mind that at all.
There's an audience for it.
I was gonna say it was an audience they were looking for.
And I am the audience.
Yes.
Man Henry.
Miles, finish your point.
Why did he take off his shirt but not his pants as well to swim? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that was weird.
Aerodynamics.
So that the fish doesn't touch his willy. I don't get it.
Oh no.
Shekinah, worst scene.
Worst scene. I think I'm gonna agree with the Aquaman one. It just lasted way too long. It just dragging. So no, I hate that scene.
Okay. Steph.
Good question. I probably. Well, I guess it's not in particular of a particular scene. I just don't like Amy Adams, Lois Lane. But then again, I don't like Lois Lane anyway. So any scene that I see her in, it's just too overbearing. She was touching Henry too much. Like it was too much for me.
So wait. So is your issue with her? Or is your issue with her touching Henry Cavill?
She's not even designating that with an answer.
Ryan.
I'm joking. No, I just think that I've never liked the casting since Man of Steel. I've just never liked the casting of her. I just feel like I just don't really like it. But then I guess another thing is, I guess if you want to talk about scenes, probably when Barry. I mean, obviously, I loved how they added Iris West, scene into it, but just him playing with her hair and like touching the hot dog, like what was the point of it?
Okay, Ryan, which scene do you not like at all?
To be honest, I don't really have a scene that I dislike or that stands out, but I think maybe because they had just brought Superman back to life, when he went back to the farm, I was sitting there and I was kind of just thinking, okay, like, let's go fight now, innit? Do you know what I mean? Let's get to it. Probably because I was just obviously anticipating the final battle that's going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, I was probably the most impatient at that part of the movie, and I was just thinking, yeah, let's get it cracking.
Ludo?
Honestly, I ain't got like a least favorite scene, but I'd say Diana, she's a very, Gal Gadot, she's a very horrible actor, man.
I was gonna say
when she actually has to like provide dialogue is like, it hurts to watch. Like I can't lie, it sounds like acting's a chore to her.
She's Michael B. Jordan.
No, don't say that.
No. I mean, do you know what? I was gonna say like, I don't have a scene I don't like. Even like the Aquaman scene with the women singing, I can't like Joanne said, I kind of think it was more like a cultural reference to something. It just needed explanation, which they didn't do. But that aside, I really, really hate how the Flash runs. It infuriates me because the Flash is one of my favorite characters, but the guy is running like he's wearing slippers.
Yeah,
and it pisses me off.
Why did he have to run these shoes?
I need my Flash to run like the Flash. I need him to run like he understands that he's the fastest man alive, not like he's running away from his mum trying to beat him because he didn't go to school. Right, that's one. Two.
I don't even like the casting of the Flash.
I like the casting. I just need to run. I just need to run.
I don't like it either.
Two.
I like Ezra.
Two, to go off what Luna said, Gal Gadot is an amazing Wonder Woman when she's not talking. When she's Timmy out. Listen. I said what I said. She's an amazing Wonder Woman when she doesn't need to provide dialogue because, like Luna said, I can't see like her acting skills aren't great, but when she's fighting. When she's kicking ass and you hear that thing in the background, I'm all for that. I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
We got to check Timmy's old tweets.
I think she's an amazing Wonder Woman. She does the role justice, just when there's no dialogue. Outside of that,
the same way about the movies.
Now, see, that's an interesting question because
bring me in, Timmy. Tag me
because I've gone full screen because I do like the Wonder Woman movies. I just feel like for some reason when she's not the central character, there's something about her dialogue that just seems very shit, to put it plainly. When it's a Wonder Woman film, I think because there's more dialogue from her, and my brain just kind of gets used to her conversing and her giving, her point across or being emotive, whatever it is. I think I just get used to it then. But when it's just her, like in BVS, didn't really like it too tough talking. It sounds hella misogynistic. Wow.
Tag me in.
In Justice League, didn't really like her talking too tough. But when she's fighting, when she's doing like her little smirk before she gets battered up in the fight. Like I love all that kind of stuff. Like she's great visually as Wonder Woman, but I just don't like the dialogue. And then also having said that, I just still think that there's just something missing from the film. I don't know what it is, and it's really nagging the back of my brain. But I just feel like as great as Justice League is, something is still missing, and I just don't know what. But
or Darkseid.
I just want to add quickly two things I didn't like about kind of going on about Wonder Woman. I really liked Wonder Woman #1, Wonder Woman 1984. I didn't like at all. But one of my issues is that she has powers in Wonder Woman 1984 that she doesn't have in Justice League. And
such as what?
Flying.
Yeah. No, she flew. She flew.
Nah, she jumped high, man.
No, she didn't fly.
No, she flew.
She Jessica Jones did. She Jessica Jones did, bro.
I can't lie. I'm gonna give a flag.
That's a directing thing. That's a continuity thing because
that's obviously and what the Snyder Cut released after, there's not really too much they can do about that. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Obviously, the course got switched up, but I can see why it would bother some people.
And
to me,
what's Joanne? So what's it? Miles, finish.
Yeah. Lastly, that's just a very quick point. Flash was supposed to be like the comedic relief of the film. I didn't really find him very funny.
I laughed. I can't lie. I find it funny.
I didn't laugh.
I didn't either.
I didn't laugh.
To be fair to your point, Miles, I think Zach's biggest problem with Barry is I think he's conforming to two different forms of the Flash. I think he's conforming to the Flash that we all grew up on, which a lot of people forget wasn't Barry, it was Wally. And Wally was more humorous.
Yeah.
And then I think he's trying to add in the element of actual Barry Allen. And it's like that even the CW's Flash is closer to Barry, but isn't Barry Allen. He's just not a jokester. Like, he's not Spider-Man. That's the thing. The whole thing about Flash is he's the light of all the dark that is the Justice League.
I don't mind.
You don't have to be humorous to be a light.
I don't mind him being humorous, but the jokes have to be funny, though.
I thought a couple of them were. I laughed a few times.
Yeah, I thought it helps. It hit 60% of the time for me.
Yeah. Like it wasn't ha 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 all the time, but it was kind of funny. I'll give him
He
that.
kind of reminds me of Bart Allen. Like he's proper childish. It's not even like Wally. I'm going as far as Bart Allen, like Impulse. That childish. He didn't really give me adult. It kind of gave me very young.
Maybe that's why I laugh, because I like childish shit like that.
So I thought we were just doing scenes, so we're doing things about the movie.
I mean, scenes, things about the movie you don't like. Let's discuss it. Like,
okay,
because I
didn't have a particular scene that jumped to mind, but there were things about the movie I didn't like.
Well, let's talk about it.
Said Cyborg. All right, the first one, I didn't really fuck with Batman in this one. Batman was a better Batman in Batman vs Superman. In this one, he was sidelined too much for my liking.
Okay.
All right, even in the final battle, all right, cool, you're struggling with parademons, cool, you're human, whatnot, but I don't think he showed off Batman in a more favorable light, because even in the fight scene in the tunnel, like, he was just there. He was literally sidelined again. Of course, he's a human, but Batman is literally, even from Just League cartoons, like, he's somehow still on the forefront, he's on the front lines, and he's still showing out. He didn't show out enough for me in this movie, and I thought the reshoots might have captured a bit more of his brilliance. In this, he was just pretty much a glorified recruiter.
Okay.
I mean,
in my opinion,
point, I will say Zach missed a huge opportunity that I was upset about, but I immediately let go. This movie and where you went with it, I mean, I guess you could have maybe used it with Darkseid down the line, but for this movie, pretending this is it for Zach, why not have him develop the Hellbat? That would have easily given him a way larger stage to kind of showcase what he brings to the table. And it would have went to the severity of, we got to kind of move this along because it's killing me the more I use it. Like, if anyone doesn't know, the Hellbat is a suit Batman created, so when they fight gods, he could join the fight. But the downside of it is the more he uses it, the more it kind of kills him. So that being heightened with the idea of they can't fail, with the idea of it's literally killing him, that would have visually popped in that entire final battle scene. So I think I'm with you. I think they missed the boat. I think they missed the boat on that.
And not to kick her back in anymore, but Gal Gadot, I don't think she's a great actor, man. Like, she's literally, all of them would do their lines and she would be the one that stinks in the room. Like, Ray would do his lines, Ben would do his lines. Even when Henry came back, Henry would do his bit. Like, I don't think there was enough for her. And it even extends to her movies. So Wonder Woman 1 was cool. It was okay. 1984, yeah, I'll be the one to say it.
No.
I'll be the one to say it, but Patty Jenkins, you can't come back for a third movie. I'm sorry.
Do you know what it is?
She also, Gal Gadot produced that as well, though. So I think that's
so
part of the...
so that's what I was going to say, because out of the two of them, I have a problem. So I feel like Patty Jenkins hasn't done herself a favor with both movies, because I feel like she fucked in the end of Wonder Woman 1. And 1984 just wasn't good.
Do you want to?
So I have more faith in Gal Gadot performing better with a bad actor, because even though I feel like she's underperforming, I have more faith in sticking with her and giving her a new director than sticking with Patty Jenkins, because 1984 wasn't it. Wallahi, it stinks. She has to go.
I don't think her directing was bad. I think you gotta remember Patty.
The movie stunk though.
She wrote it. No,
yeah.
I'm saying she shouldn't write the next Wonder Woman movie.
Okay.
I don't think her directing is bad, but to shoot Gal Gadot a little bail, because I kind of feel like she's catching stray bullets here.
Wallahi, she stinks.
Remember, she doesn't have an acting background. Before
it shows.
She was just kind of like, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but she was just the eye candy in the Fast and Furious movie. So she didn't really have an extensive acting background. So that's why when they cast her, I was just like, I don't really see it, Zach. And then you see her.
Pretty privilege is real.
Like, and remember, the thing that scared me about her performance in BVS was she had this much lines, and I was just like, wait a minute. The very next movie is her solo, and you don't have her talking more in this movie. I didn't get it, but to just give her a little bit of bail. She's not really an actor. I think she's growing into it. And
you can see it.
Right. But I mean, I agree. I will say this much. I think certain films have to be watched in cinema for them to be appreciated. And I would include Wonder Woman 1984 in that discussion. I feel because it was essentially a Christmas release film. 2, we had to watch it at home. 3, lockdown doesn't help. I feel like a lot of people went into this film not expecting much, and then when they got what they got were underwhelmed by the overall thing. I got the opportunity to see it in the cinema, thanks to Warner Brothers. I had to plug that in, but like the cinema experience of that film is miles and miles better than seeing it than having to see it like this on your phone. It's good. It can't compare. So, but I absolutely understand people saying they didn't like the film. I understand that, but I do think like maybe a change of perspective and scenery might add to the overall experience of the film, because the film, really and truly, the film is not incredible, but it's not terrible either.
It's not. Like, it's an actual cool film.
It's actually a cool film. It actually, like, I'm not just saying that because I got sent to see it. It actually is a cool film. I just think that because people had to watch it at home, and to be honest, that's probably even adds to like maybe some of the issues of Justice League, because Justice League, don't get me wrong, was hyped infinitely. We hyped this film for like 2 years straight. So yeah, because of the hype, we go into this film and we love it and such. But I think if we watched it in cinema, if we'd watched that 4-hour shit in cinema, totally different conversation we'd be having. I don't think we'd be nitpicking. Yeah. I don't think we'd be nitpicking as much in terms of certain things. I think we would go like, you're the same way we walked out Endgame. That's the same way we would have walked out Justice League. I guarantee you.
But yeah, these are blockbuster films. But I feel like that epicness that you're referring to does often cloud judgment on movies, because Endgame stunk as well. Endgame.
We see Joey. Joey, you're a problem anyway. You're a pragmatist. So it's fine. It's fine.
The people, they're still coming around. They're slowly
hitting me up.
They'll get there soon.
Let's not, because I'll go off with this thing. I'll kick people out.
We'll save for another roundtable discussion.
But I feel like cinema probably would have added to that movie and this movie. But I will say, I don't need any more 4-hour movies.
Yeah,
this was good, but I don't need.
It was.
I would have appreciated this if he did it more like Quentin Tarantino, when he took that Western movie he did with Samuel Jackson, put it on Netflix, he split
Hateful
it up.
Eight.
Hatefully.
Right, yes. He split it up into 4 parts. To me, I
Okay.
don't mind that because then I can like take a break, come back later, or maybe the next day watch the second part. But for it to be a legit 4-hour-long movie,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah, I don't need any more of that.
I absolutely agree.
So
I
that
think
speaks
that
to go on,
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Jamie. Go ahead.
I think if they were to have taken the intros of Barry and Cyborg and Aquaman, since I don't think he was introduced at that point, although it would be weird with the movie that he has out. If they were to have taken those and done like some kind of mini series, if they couldn't actually do a movie, that would have significantly cut down the movie, I feel like, and it would have made it a much pleasurable experience, at least for me.
But do you think that would have affected the overall? Well, no, it would make a more pleasurable experience, sure, because the film is shorter. But do you not think that having those setups of Barry and Cyborg in the film itself adds to the overall story that we're watching? Do you think if they remove that as a miniseries, do you not think that would affect your overall opinion of the film, as opposed to?
I think it probably would have changed my opinion on the film just because we're shining a light on new people that we haven't seen before. So it definitely does like bring that kind of interest there. But I do think that the chemistry in between the people in the Justice League would have been a lot better since we actually know the characters. So we don't have to focus on getting to know them. We can focus on the chemistry in between all the different characters and see how they become a cohesive team. And I think that might have made their relationships a little bit stronger. But to your point, yeah, I could see how it could be either way. I don't know. I don't know how it would have been with the series, but I think that would have been more appealing to a lot of people instead of having to sit down and watch a 4-hour movie, especially if you're not invested into the Justice League and you really hated the Justice League cut.
I agree to an extent, but I feel like we have to remember, like I said at the beginning, who we are and who the audience is. Everyone else who wants to get into the DCEU and wants to start watching these movies, you're giving them an extra task to go and watch something else. And a lot of people just won't do that. We're fans, we'll watch whatever, we'll read whatever, we'll go wherever. But a lot of people won't do that. They won't be dedicated to, oh, I need to watch this, I need to watch this. Like I have a friend who decided to start the MCU from WandaVision. And then you have to start explaining everything. It's like, there are people out there who literally will not watch everything. They just want to start with the hype, if that makes sense. So
no, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. But that's why I say, because I've been studying marketing, that's why I say you don't have to conform to a general audience because they'll just generally flock to whatever's hot.
Right.
You have to make it so your core fan base hypes it enough that they're forced to go. Because I have people, because like you said, to your example of WandaVision, if they didn't see anything before WandaVision, they obviously didn't care. But why did they go to WandaVision is the question. Because it was the talk of the town. So all you have to do is make it pleasurable enough to a certain core audience. They will do the work for you.
Yeah.
Them,
that literally happened with Game of Thrones.
You're gonna lose your mainstream.
I mean,
I think
this
it's kind of
movie
happening now.
go
ahead, Ash.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is a result, right, of core audience that went for it, right? Because the core audience that walked out of that movie theater, we saw the bullshit that was that, and we said we wanted the actual version. And so because, right, we pushed for that, it's now here. And what's happening, all of those general audiences that maybe have gone into Justice League and like they didn't like it in 2017, or the ones that didn't see it in 2017, they're like, oh, so many people are talking about this movie has so many like background and history, whatever behind it, like we have to watch it as well. So like I definitely agree with you with that part. If your core audience is there with you, they can bring in that general audience but WB doesn't know that, so unfortunately.
And just like to kind of add on to that, I feel like that's what the MCU is doing now with WandaVision and the Loki series and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They are developing these characters outside of the huge like blockbuster films. So I don't know how it's going to affect the films necessarily, but like they will have that chemistry so that when they're actually on the big screen, they don't have to focus on, oh, let me tell you about this sad
Right.
backstory about how this happened to me. Like you can just get straight to the action. So I think even though people who aren't like super fans, or even just like people who don't really feel like keeping up with all of that content, I think that the content that comes out of like breaking down each piece and making sure people understand something before getting to like the big event, I think that's going to end up being a better movie to watch, just more enjoyable all around. And I think people are going to appreciate that a lot more, even if they have to like get themselves to that point to watch the extra things.
Okay.
That's why I said when you watch stuff like that, I've never been of the mindset of you should make these superhero movies for a larger audience, mainly because if you watch WandaVision, you had mainstream people that were just like, "Oh, I see you're getting excited. What did they just say? Like, what are you getting excited about?" It'll either jog them to want to know what's going on, or they'll just watch it to enjoy it for what they're watching it for. So to me, it's like, make your movies for us. We will be the gatekeepers that then tell others you should watch how good this was or stay far away from it because it's hot garbage.
Mhm.
So if they would give the power to us, they'd be fine. They'd ultimately be fine. Let us determine what's hot in these streets. Don't try to do what will make you the most money, because if it's hot to us, we will make you all the money in the world.
Facts. Right. Just because I'm concerned about timing, um, we'll do a roundup quickly. So I just want to know what everyone's thoughts were on Martian Manhunter's appearance, and then your overall rating for the film. Let's start with Jawan, then Comic Chick, and then Jamie.
Visually looks awesome. I fault Zach because it's like he shows up again the second time after the world could have ended on his watch, and then goes, "You know what? I won't sit back a third time. Next war, you got me." And it's just like, what? Like, it made no sense. So I mean, that I would like to hear Zach explain a little bit more. But he looked visually as good as I always imagined him to be.
And rating for the film? What would you?
What would I rate the film? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was making sure I rushed through that. So
It's fine.
I would definitely say 8.5 out of 10 for sure. I'd say 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Comic Chick.
Martian Manhunter's introduction, good, but it was in the kind of epilogue bit, wasn't it? So I feel like, again, not to be a typical Marvel fan, but the whole post-credit scene formula works because you get a break, you feel like this is something different, but because it was just part of the movie, it just felt random, like just blended in. But in terms of the way he looked, I thought he looked amazing compared to the other characters, because I kind of still hate the CGI on some of the characters. What else? But yeah, I think aside from that, I have no issues with the Martian Manhunter and him being introduced at this particular point, especially because I feel like, aside from people who would watch like the TV shows, loads of mainstream people don't know who he is. We're used to like the Batman, the Superman, the Wonder Woman, Aquaman. So it's good that we're getting different characters. And I think they introduced Atom as well in this movie. So it's good to see different characters being introduced. In terms of my rating for the movie, maybe a 7.5.
Okay. Jamie.
Um,
Jamie, not Joey. Joey, you're next.
Oh, sorry, your
Okay.
pronunciation.
Sorry.
I think introducing Martian Manhunter, I think the first time we see him in the film is after he talks with Lois, kind of acting as Superman's mom. And that was so like random to me, and I was like, okay, like I guess that happened. So I'm glad that he was in like the scene in the epilogue. It was a very weird intro to me, but I think that's what makes it interesting, and I think that that's going to pique some people's interest in trying to see like, oh wait, what's this guy about? What's this green guy about, for people who don't know like why he's green. As far as what I would rate the movie, I think 7.5 is pretty fair for me as well. I did enjoy it, but it's definitely, I don't know. I have seen better, I feel.
Okay. Joey, then Miles.
I was pleasantly surprised by the introduction because he already introduced him from Man of Steel, so I was wondering, would they allow him to even do more with that? Obviously, he showed us the story panels for those that were kept up with Zach. So I was like, okay, it's sick that he left him in from there, and you see like he was actually had a conscious effort with him and idea with Martian Manhunter. He had an idea for him because from his interaction with him in the interrogation scene, you knew Zach had a thing for him. And who knows what Warner Brothers said you kind of can't do, because obviously they said you're not even allowed to do reshoots, further shots for this movie. So I was pleasantly surprised. As for ratings for the movie, currently, it will probably sit at 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Miles.
In terms of Martian Manhunter, from a Easter egg standpoint, it was very cool to see. However, I felt it was largely unnecessary for him to be there. However, I think how we reflect on his appearance is based on what happens in the future of the DCEU. Because if he appears again, it'll be like, oh, okay. But if he doesn't, then it'll be like, oh, that was kind of like you have some paint left and you're just trying to throw stuff at the canvas type of thing. In terms of my rating for the film, I would also give it a 7.5. I really enjoyed it. I think it kind of is difficult because you're caught between how much of an improvement it was on the Joss Whedon version, but as a standalone, I think it was a 7.5. But I think all around it was a success for Zach, for DC fans, and for fans in general. So I enjoyed it.
Ash, then Shekinah.
I wished that they had actually saved Martian Manhunter like for the very end in the epilogue, that like he hadn't like appeared as Martha. Like I guess I can understand why, but like I would have like appreciated like if he was like that kind of like that second like Joker like post end credit scene there. I really enjoyed the film. And so like I'm like gonna give it like an 8.5 there. So yeah.
Shekinah?
I think his appearance was random, I think, but it was cute. I liked it. It was actually really nice. I think it sort of mirrors like a bit like the Smallville TV show, because in Smallville as well, Martian Manhunter came in and was sort of the protector of Clark, like the secret protector, and they're both sort of the last son of their own like planet. So I think it was nice to have that moment between the last son and then like the last son as well, like speaking to Lois about grief. So I think it was a cute moment. I don't think it was bad. I think it was random, but it was okay. And I rate the movie 8.5 out of 10.
Cool. Ryan, then Ludo, then Steph, and then I'll close.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, to be honest, because like what Joey said, touching on that, I think it's a very good callback to Man of Steel. For people like me, I knew Martian Manhunter was coming, but it was like, okay, so in what capacity? So I was already excited, and I'm just looking forward to see if they do anything with it. But if they don't, I won't be that mad, because I'm kind of done with like the Snyder chapter now, innit? I got what I wanted, so I won't be too fast. And in terms of a rating, I'm like between a 7.5 and an 8. I'm not really decided yet. It's hard.
Okay. Ludo.
With the Martian Manhunter cameo, I would say it was also great to see him there, because we've never seen him in live action movies before, if I'm not mistaken. But it comes to the question that I have the question in terms of that: how are you going to introduce this character, this powerful character, and so much is happening in the world already, and he hasn't played a part in it. It's kind of like the mutants. You can introduce mutants, but they haven't played a part in what's happening on Earth. You live on Earth, you're a Martian Manhunter. You're clearly obviously his human form is a big part of security and as a big part of the government, but you've not done anything up until now.
I did see a good point online, and someone said with the themes that you saw in maybe like Batman vs Superman and whatnot, maybe he didn't feel like humans would actually accept him because of the way they treated Superman. And now it's all said and done, it feels like he can reveal himself to the world. I don't know. That's just something I saw someone put online, and I felt like it was an interesting point.
I hear that, but it comes to the point, you literally got Doomsday there, literally tearing the place up. But it's not gonna get involved.
That's your problem.
Yeah, it seems like that's your problem. Maybe he saw it as it's Earth's problem. If Earth blows up, I can go back to Mars anyway. So fair enough. But I would say I'd give the movie a 7, probably a 7, just a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Steph.
It was a bittersweet moment because, you know, it was nice seeing Martian Manhunter. It was nice just seeing, you know, where he fitted in and stuff. But when I mean about the bittersweet moment, it's because we don't know, and it's probably highly unlikely we're ever going to get a 2 and 3 or Snyder Cut. And where are they going to expand on Martian the Manhunter and other Easter eggs like Atom and other things that they, he put in to hopefully set up for a bigger purpose. But it was nice seeing him. He looked really, really good. CGI was good. And, I'm just happy that as a Snyder stan, we got, like Ryan said, we got what we wanted in the end. I'm really happy that as, him as a creative, he was able to show the world what he originally had his eyes set on and what he originally planned. So it was just really nice to finally just have the version that we all wanted. Just honestly shout out to the fans as well that were actually fighting for him when he was obviously going through what he was going through as well. I would definitely give the film probably an 8.5. The last film probably like a 5, 6. And fuck Joss Whedon. Facts. Literally robbed us.
And Jeff Johns. Don't forget Jeff.
And
Jeff Johns. I would say F, but we're part
of it. All right, relax, mate. You got an agency to run.
Please. Don't spoil the back.
Leave that to me.
Love you, Warner Bros. At the same time, you guys need to
leave that to me.
Okay,
but,
so
yeah.
I feel like Martian Manhunter was a wasted opportunity. If you're gonna have him have this reveal of him being Martha in that scene, I feel like he could have made an appearance in that final battle. He could have flying in, helped out a little bit. I don't know, have the Justice League have the moment defeating Steppenwolf and then just fly off. Like, I didn't need no dialogue, no nothing. Him helping out, Justice League wins, he flies off, then you get the epilogue scene. I feel like that would have been a lot better for me personally. But I like his character design. Don't really like the CGI too tough. I think he could be refined a little bit more. I feel like he could be a little bit greener. He's looking a little bit too. He's looking a little too black. He's looking like a very, 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 very murky green, which I want that kind of bright Martian green that I'm used to. But even then, that might look a bit funny in the CGI. But it's something to address later. But overall, I think the film was great. Really, really solid film. It was the easiest 4 hours I've ever done before. I must admit, I do need to rewatch it again because I think there's moments I might have missed because it is such a long film. But I think the fact that Zack got to see his vision play out, the fans got what they wanted. Like Ryan said, it kind of closes the chapter on the whole Zack Snyder side of things and the Zack and the Snyder Cut. We're done with that. Not until done with we're not gonna watch the film again. But we've got what we wanted. The thing is, it's now the ball is in now WB's court. What do you do next? Do you listen to the fans? Do you see what the Snyder Cut has done and try and build something great off that, or do you go back and be stubborn? And if they go back and be stubborn, they're fucked. They're still gonna make money, sure, but what they don't want is to have one of their films end up on the worst films ever made list. And if they're not careful, that's what's gonna happen. But in terms of an overall score, like I said, I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it's just because I'm comparing it obviously to Joss's previous efforts, as I want to put it, and having it as a standalone film as well. I think it's a really solid project from Zack, and he deserves every accolade that he could potentially get from this film. Period. But again, fuck Joss Whedon, fuck Jeff Johns. From now until the end of time, from now until Thanos returns, from now until Darkseid takes over the Earth, just fuck them both because I don't like them. Period.
Bro, they've really done Ray Fisher really, really.
They did up boy Ray Fisher dirty. They did dirty.
They've done him worse than Zack. In my opinion,
that might be one of the biggest downsides of this whole thing is that we might not even get Ray Fisher as to still be Cyborg.
We might listen. We might not get Ray Fisher as Cyborg. Ray Fisher may not work as an actor again in Hollywood. Period. Just because of those two. Nah.
Because Zack's good. Zack's got a name and he's got a.
Zack's fine.
So he can go to.
Zack's fine.
He can go to different. Ray Fisher. Other people, you know how Hollywood is. They're such clicked up. There's such interest.
Like this, bro. All it takes
just because you guys know how it is in our jobs in real life. Once you blow a whistle, everyone looks at you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're done in the wrong, even though there's evidence, everyone looks at you crazy and everyone says, you're the one, you're the problem, you're the snitch. Why did you do that?
It's either going to be a case of Ray has to have the cyborg role on retainer for a while until like he's I guess allowed back in Hollywood, or it's gonna be a case of like WB are gonna be done with him and he's just not gonna get another acting role like period.
But on the flip side, which I genuinely hope, is that everyone who's seen this, his phone is gonna be busy.
Oh yeah, that's what.
Busy after this.
That's why I hope.
He's done a fantastic job. So
that's why I hope.
Let's hope that his phone is dialing.
Let it break from everyone calling him. Like
we might not even get Henry back because he's been too quiet throughout the whole thing. I don't even think he wants to be Superman anymore.
No, he still wants to be, but the problem is Warner Bros. They don't know what to do.
Yeah,
you think so?
It's like they don't know what to do.
I said it jokingly, but even when everyone was rallying for the Snyder Cut, Henry wasn't there.
Henry was quiet. No, but he was quiet though. He was quiet on the socials.
He was filming. He was filming, but he was the most quiet.
He wasn't quiet.
He
wasn't quiet. Behind the scenes, he's still trying to figure out what they want to do. So he was going to speak out because it's like, yeah, man, forget Warner Brothers. Like, I'm Snyder all the way, and then they're just like, oh, really? Because we can make Superman black tomorrow. Like,
but he's Henry Cavill. But he's Henry Cavill.
Actually, though, will they?
No,
I don't think they will.
Not unfortunately.
I'm going to tell you this right now: the writer that J.J. Abrams just brought on to do Superman is from the storyline where Superman is black. It's the Earth Prime or whatever. It's another Earth.
They're not gonna do it.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Warner Brothers is seeing how hot Michael B. Jordan is, and they're going,
please, hell no.
Really quickly, I wanted to say this really quickly to your point of Cyborg. Understanding where we're coming from with Ray Fisher, just so you guys kind of have this in the back of your head, they're not going to do anything else with Cyborg, but not because of Ray Fisher. It's just they're replacing him with Jaime because he's a more popular character in Blue Beetle. So Blue Beetle's going to not replace Cyborg in Justice League, but replace that cybernetic kind of being.
No. Let's keep it buck. Let's keep it order 100. Right? Cyborg is more popular than Blue Beetle.
Word.
Not at all.
No, bro.
Not at all.
Jawan.
How many episodes in Teen Titans was
Jawan. Cyborg is more popular than Blue Beetle. Facts on facts. Period. There is no
Not at all.
I feel like a lot of people didn't know. Maybe this is just like because of like the comics and everything, but I don't think a lot of people like really knew about Blue Beetle until like Young Justice. Like, was that when he first like started?
That was a situation for me.
Yeah.
Are we forgetting that Teen Titans ended almost over a decade ago?
But it's Teen Titans, bro. But it's still Teen Titans, bro.
But there's a large fan base that has no idea who Cyborg is either. So to me, the only reason why Blue Beetle is
Juwan, how long ago did Static Shock come out? We're still looking for a Static Shock movie.
Time out. This many people are still looking for Static Shock.
No, this many people. It's this many people, bro.
I'm one of them.
It's like this.
And time out. Here's even the funnier thing. People forgot about Cyborg so much. When he put him in the Justice League, not a person was just like, wait a minute, hold on.
Juwan, quick question.
You have a whole show called Teen Titans, and he's not even in it, and no one bats an eye. That's how quickly people can forget.
So Juwan, on the point of popularity, which Green Lantern would you bring in, Hal or John?
I'm going to be honest with you. I was raised on John Stewart, but in the comics, Hal came first. So since I only know about John Stewart, I do want to, experience some. To me, this has been my mindset. You make a Green Lantern movie, right? You have it to where there's this eternal war going on. Yeah. So Hal Jordan's focus is more so
in space.
John's focus is just Earth. That's
a good idea.
Yeah.
So that way you can focus on him in the Justice League. But when you do a Green Lantern movie, you could open it up to where there's Hal, there's Guy Gardner, there's Kilowog. But that's how you should do it. But John Stewart, that's what we were raised on. John Stewart, Wally West, like we didn't know no Hal Jordan. Like what?
What we'll say to that is obviously they are working on a Green Lantern TV series, which I think will be
HBO.
very good for HBO.
Yeah.
But guys, we need to wrap up because it's been a long time of us talking.
All right, Tim, let me add one more point.
Go on then, Joey. Go on then, Joey.
I know we put a lot of blame on Warner Bros, rightly so.
Right.
But this may have just worked in DCEU's favor because I don't think the climate back then would have appreciated this movie back in 2016 when it originally came out. I feel like the time was right for it now to blow up and be more accepted because there's so many people that have come up to me and I've told them, all right, I don't like Man of Steel. I told them, all right, watch it again now. Tell me, come back to me how you feel about it. They come back, oh, you know what? It's not actually a bad movie. I actually liked it. Go watch Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition. Oh, I actually liked it. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
The fan bases were so toxic back then that we had the flipping journalists and critics had so much influence over people. People weren't ready to accept this movie. Like people were kicking the sacks back in at every opportunity.
Yeah.
So I feel like, fortunately enough, with lockdown and where we are in terms of consuming content, I feel like Justice League works more now. And people are more appreciative of it now, even if it's 4 hours and it still sticks to the exact script. People are more appreciative of it now. So it may have actually worked in his favor, which is unfortunate because he probably is not going to do any more. And the DCEU, I don't really care about it too tough, and I don't know where they're going to go from here now.
It's going to be interesting, I think. The next steps.
So I just wanted to say that.
Because they got films in the work already, but the next steps that after this kind of like just Snyder Cut situation.
With the next steps.
Well, it's going to execute the next steps, but after that, it's going to be like, okay, well, do we take from the Snyder Cut? Do we not? Do we just let the Snyder Cut sit on its own?
Do you not really care for James Gunn's Suicide Squad coming out? Do you care that much?
Not really, but I'm going to watch it.
But I'm still going to watch it.
Kind of
I don't like him anyway, so...
Yeah, I don't like him.
I don't like him as an actor, but I know he understands what a suicide type of movie should be. And I know it's better than the original. So
you guys interested for Aquaman 2?
I am. I like Aquaman. I like him as a character.
I don't particularly care.
I like the first film.
Aquaman's in my bottom two of DCEU personally.
Wow.
I thought the first Aquaman movie was fun, so
I thought it was
watch
the
the
same.
second one.
I enjoyed it.
Enjoy it.
I like
I like that.
Literally, the only movie I'm really looking forward to is Black Adam.
Same.
Just to see what they do.
Yeah.
That's a good
Can The
one.
Rock act? That's what I'm literally looking forward to see. That's it.
Black
Other than
Adam-
that, I don't really care.
Black Adam's high for you. The Batman is just like through the roof for me. Like
Yeah.
that
Batman
that's the one
too.
I can't wait
But
for.
I
That's
forgot about
what
him.
I
I
want.
forgot about it.
the most accurate portrayal of
I
a
forgot about that.
Bruce Wayne and Batman that we've ever seen to date. Like I don't count Ben because he never got his own movie. So we never really got to see him flesh it out to be a detective,
right,
and whatnot. So it's hard. I think he would have easily done it. I mean, anyone that watched Batman the animated series, the smirk that Bruce Wayne did, and then the smirk that Ben gave at the party with Lex and Clark, is just like he was born to be Bruce Wayne. But what Robert Pattinson's bringing is that edgier, I'd rather be Batman than Bruce Wayne feel. And that's the Batman I've always loved. So it's like that's really high for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us for this event. It's been great talking to you and hashing things out. Audience, guys who've been watching during the stream, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys have been discussing bare in the chat. I'm just seeing it now.
Joss Whedon.
Apologies if we didn't, address any
the
questions.
technical difficulties.
It's
Be back
like
next time.
we're doing another one. I really enjoyed doing these roundtable discussions. They're really cool. So we're back again, maybe for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Let us know in the comment
knows?
section down below as well, like what movies and stuff you'd like us to do.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you want to be on the next one, reach out to us. Let us know. We got your name down. Don't worry, we got you. But yeah. Before I sign off, again, fuck Joss Whedon to the end of time. Fuck Jeff Johns.
Fuck him.
Big up Ray Fisher.
And that Hamada guy, I forgot his name.
Whoever it is,
Yeah,
one of
him
two.
as well.
One
Him
of
as
two.
well.
And